Welcome in everybody to the NECC Collegiate League of Legends lower finals between number 4 ranked Ole Miss and number 5 ranked Winthrop. A grudge match, Shibby, as these two teams faced off in the second round of the upper bracket. An instant classic. Many were heralding it as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, series in collegiate League of Legends history. A 3-2 win by Ole Miss. Then the teams will do battle one more time for the right to face Fisher in the grand finals for that CLOL bid out of the NECC.
Yeah, bit unexpected. I think if you asked kind of everybody towards the beginning of the season, or even maybe like a couple of weeks ago, they would have definitely pegged to have Ole Miss and Winthrop somewhere in the grand finals of the NECC LOL. But Fisher have managed to, I would say sneak their way in, but have fought their way to the grand finals. And now we have a lower bracket matchup between two programs that are in the top four, if not top five, of the collegiate Power Hub rankings. I'm very interested to see how this goes. Like you said, their last meeting, an instant classic, Ole Miss ended up taking that series 3-2, but it could have gone either way, right? Winthrop had some very dominant early leads in that series. Yanni, some would say they threw some of those games and Ole Miss was just there to pick it up. You were there casting it. It's really interesting because if you ask me today who's going to take this series, it is quite literally a 50-50 for me. I could not tell you who can win.
Yeah, I would agree, right? If the only certainty I would say is it could probably go 5 games, right? Like just because of how even these teams are. These teams are just so neck and neck, right? And I really love the fact that Ole Miss won the last series between these two teams because when we were looking at it, the win loss rate was heavily in favor of Winthrop. Even
Yes.
post Shogo, Ole Miss still it was like slightly Winthrop favored, right? Even though the head to head between him and Mobility is actually Shogo favored very slightly. But now this feels like a true rivalry, right? Before it felt like a rivalry, like, oh, they're going to play some close games, but Winthrop is going to win in the end. And then Ole Miss, last season, they 3-0'd Winthrop in order to get that bid out of the NECC. But this time
Yep.
around, it is way different. The landscape is different. Now we're going to see what both of these teams have to offer. Remember, these teams are out of extra lives. If you lose, you have to deal with the seating committee for CLOL, the much maligned seating committee, as everybody knows. As we have the lineups ready for you, you know them, you love them. Should be no changes today, as we do see Winthrop as Denethor, Wilson, Sword, Mobility, and only 35. And for Ole Miss, it's Stray, Keel, Asila, Shogo, and Rhino. Remember, last time out, Ole Miss, when they played against Fisher, Keel was not available. They had Icelandic Hero, and Ole Miss kind of devolved back to their, well, we're going to have Shogo carry the game play style, as Stray, outside of one pop-off game, was just kind of there. But the big question, Shibby, is what are we going to see out of Asila? Because he plays under the tag Struggler, and he was living up to that name last week.
Yeah, Asilo, obviously the new addition to this Ole Miss roster in terms of like the youngest player, the guy with has the least amount of experience. He's the most raw player, right? Mechanically played very, very well. We got to see him in some of these combines. We got to see him in ACL, where Ole Miss did pretty well, all things considered. But yeah, I think not having a fearless format specifically for this CLOL matchup is gonna very much help both of these mid laners. I think Sword and Asila have some champion pool issues, some champion pool restrictions, and when you don't have to worry about your main champion, your second best or your third best champion being taken out for the whole series, you can really lean back on some of your comfort. I think Asila has looked fantastic on champions like Syndra, like Lissandra, even as Ari can get a little shifty at times. So I think if they can kind of stick to his wheelhouse, not really go too crazy, I think that's going to be the key for Ole Miss to kind of keep Asila in a comfortable matchup against Sword. Both of these mid jungle duos, not the highlights and not the stars of this team, right? It's top lane and it's bottom lane for these guys. And I think Stray has really stepped into this carry role a lot more. Ole Miss has put in a lot more responsibility in his hands, right? Jace has been picked up and banned away from him pretty consistently. He's been an avid Rumble player since last year. Renekton as well. Like, they're willing to give him these carry-orientated matchups. Even hell, they'll give him Jax a lot of the time and see what he can do. So I'm very interested to see how Ole Miss will leverage that against arguably one of, if not the best CLOL top laners in the nation. I think only behind Zamudo in my mind.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that assessment of Denethor, who has been the guy for as long as he's gotten to Winthrop, right? He is the big carry that they are relying on to kind of just, hey, we're going to give you a power pick. You're going to be dominant early on in the game, and you are going to help us run away with it, right? He is the 1A to Mobility's 1B, right? And one interesting thing to note is when you talked about Stray is, they even gave him Aurora against Fisher, and
Yep.
he won on that champion, making a large splash. So, we'll have to see what the teams cook up in the draft as we are ready to get into the draft here. Game one of this best of 5 series between Ole Miss and Winthrop. Shibby, remember, no Fearless, as you had mentioned to the people at home. I assume we're going to see Corky banned in a lot of these games. Shogo hates playing it. He thinks it's boring as hell, but he is so good on that champion, and Coach Collimer knows, listen, man, we just care about dubs here at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think Corky's going to be banned away. We saw Ole Miss in their last matchup a couple weeks ago ban away the Varus from Mobility, so that might be a point of contention. There's the Rumble that we talked about being banned away. Winthrop respecting that. Sejuani as well being removed. That's really interesting because obviously Wilson has been playing a ton of it in the NACL. I believe he's also been playing in CLOL, but that's also a very Keel-centric champion. I don't necessarily think that's the avenue we need to go to. Mbessa being removed from Denethor. I like this, just targeting some really good jungle solo laner synergies, right? I think Sejuani just works really, really well with Sword and Denethor's champion pool, right? Denethor known to play a lot of those melee carries. I think Winthrop, though, whoever's on red side this series, they almost have to ban Gwen Nefiri away. We'll see if Stray actually ends up picking that up if Winthrop opens up the Gwen, because Denethor, who's made a name for himself on that champion. Literally, I've heard him been called Gwenethor before. I mean, he'll pick it up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Stray did play it against Fisher. Didn't look fantastic on it. The rest of the team didn't really enable him too well, so we'll see what the ban is out of Winthrop. And I love that you mentioned that, hey, the Sejuani ban actually makes sense because of Denethor's champion pool, Sword's champion pool. Remember, these teams do play in the NACL. Ole Miss plays under Supernova, but we did see Sword pull out the Zed a couple days ago and was phenomenal on it. And we're seeing the first pick here, as you said, the Gwen going to be taken away, B1, strong blindable top laner, going to be in the hands of Stray. We need to see hopefully the rest of Ole Miss enable him a little bit more to make things happen.
And the Jack's going to be picked up in response here. If I trust anybody in CLOL to handle a first pick blind Gwen, it is Denethor, right? Him and Zamudo, I think I found pretty solid answer to those champions, and depending on what flavor of character you want to go, as the Corky takeaway is going to come in, that could go into Sword or Mobility's hands here. We'll see once we kind of go through the draft a little bit more. But now when I look at Ole Miss's side, I need to see them pick up a strong jungler. I need to see them potentially pick up their AD carriers. They are going to take the Ezreal here for Shogo. I think he's a fantastic Ezreal. I think he's pretty good. Obviously, his wheelhouse is more kind of what you think of like Jinx. Corky's been playing a lot of. He's been playing Jhin as well this season. But sure, he can rock an Ezreal completely fine. And the Skarner is going to be picked up for Keel. That is a Keel champion in my mind. Still a very strong pick in the meta. I feel like with stuff like Nefiri coming in, you've been also seeing a lot of these other more carry-centric junglers, Xin right? Skarner has fallen to the wayside a little bit. He's been very much disrespected, but I still think he's a fantastic pick, especially when you have big carries like Ezreal and Gwen on your side. You just need to pick this big, burly front line, and the Azir is going to go into Sword's hands. So that Corky I talked about that might get flex, it's definitely going into Mobility's hands.
Yeah, looking to play at long range here is Sword, trying to avoid the Gwen and avoid the Skarner as best as possible. Now, looking toward the second half here, we already see Winthrop going after that mid pool of Asila. Talia is going to be taken away. It's a good combo with the Skarner in of itself. I'd like to see Winthrop take away the Orianna, because whenever I see a Gwen and an Ezreal, it feels like you need a champion to, as I always say with Orianna, tie the room together. Make your team comp that. It looks a little fishy at certain points. Have a good team fight ultimate to fight through. Works really well with Skarner as well. Really like the ban of the Ivern coming out here. Wilson plays it a lot. It's really beneficial to all three champions that Winthrop are showing currently.
Yeah, I love that. And removing the Lilia as well. Wilson loves to pick some of these like high carry, high tempo junglers into these tank style. Zyra still up on the board. We are on live patch as well, Yanni. So Brand is available. Just recently got some jungle changes. Although I don't think Winthrop's going to kind of lean into that because they already have their single source of magic damage. They don't want to give Ole Miss the ability to hyper index into MR. They're just going to take the Xin that we talked about. pretty good. You can cancel the charge away from the Skarner if he has an angle. You can use your ultimate. Also, the ability to block a lot of this damage. There's the Ahri that we talked about in pre-draft, where Asila has looked relatively comfortable on a handful of champions. Lissandra, Syndra, and Ahri have been the ones that I think has really stood out in my mind. So a lot of carry threat, a lot of mobility on the side of Ole Miss, no pun intended, as Winthrop are going to have to lock in their support. A lot of good options. Could just pick the Leona and be done with it. Counter the Rakan. You've got fish potential against potentially the Gwen and the Ezreal, but they're going to opt in to take the Nautilus instead here. A bit of a more aggressive option. Definitely, can long-range CC individuals if you get that depth charge going. I don't hate it, but I feel like it's going to be really tough to kind of get any kills in lane against Shogo Rhino, who are playing two of the more higher mobility champions within the bot lane.
Yeah, and I think this Shogo Rhino bot lane isn't really meant to go in 2v2, right? This is what we're looking to see out of Rhino, is for him to roam around and really work together with Keel to get kills, right? To help out Stray because they bring the CC, to get some picks linking up with Asila in the Ahri charm, right? Shogo largely going to be left alone here, playing the Ezreal, kind of have the get out of jail free card. I think the Nautilus pick is for later on in the game, Shibi, when you need to make sure that Asila is using his ultimate to leave a fight rather than go into a fight. Whenever you're trying to, get Shogo to burn his arcane shift after he's already flashless from a prior fight. This is what we're looking to see out of this Nautilus. One thing to note, though, only 35 plays that really aggressive European support style where you just kind of go in, and sometimes when you're on tanks, it doesn't look so good. We remember the last time these two teams played, they traded Leona. Thank God Leona's not here because, man, they were dying a whole lot, but Nautilus is the poster child champion for my support is inting. Well, he wasn't really inting. He's just playing Nautilus, right? And he's the one that goes down the most. I think that Ahri is a fantastic pickup for Ole Miss here, mostly because not only is, as you mentioned, it's in Asila's wheelhouse, but this new build, right? This new tankier Ahri build that allows you to kind of be a drain tank and go in and hit charms, right? This is really good for Asila because we did see Asila have some problems in the last series. Ahri, when you get your 3 items, you are deceptively tanky, are able to survive for a long time. So giving this guy more survivability and the ability to kind of make mistakes, right? You can make a mistake and maybe not get blown up instantly, I think is going to be something that Ole Miss is going to utilize very, very well.
Yeah, the Roa build getting buffed as well. Roa just fundamentally an item change that happened. We are on live patch. Like you said, that 3-item build. It's Roa, Leandries, Riftmaker. Ahri comes out with like 4,000 health once Roa is like fully stacked.
He walks out like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
It's absolutely disgusting. They look like Marvel Rivals characters, right? Super thick, right? That's what happens to the Ahri. It is kind of insane with that build. And realistically, I don't know how Winthrop's going to be able to punish this. I also think, like you mentioned, that European support style, let's just call it what it is, the Hylissang in style potentially.
I was thinking about it, but I was like, yeah.
Punished, especially when you have stuff like the Ahri charm to just immediately punish somebody like Only 35, who's not going to be the tankiest boy throughout most of the game. It's not until a couple items as we do get into game 1 of Ole Miss versus Winthrop. Winner of this moves on to the grand finals. They face Fisher in a best of 5, and the winner of that gets an auto bid into CLOL. The loser of this just has to hope and pray that the CLOL committee brings these guys into the fold here in a best of 5 series. Loser goes home, winner faces Fisher. Yanni, I am ever so excited. I feel like it's been a long time since we've casted a CLOL match together.
Oh, dude, it has been so long, and a real treat that we get between these two teams. And, just seeing a line of scrimmage kind of start here. Sword and Only 35 going to move in to get some vision down. They know it's warded. We'll see what the answer is. Keel going to walk over. He's going to spot out Wilson. Be like, hey, I know where you're starting. Don't do any funny business, and just keep it even, right? And this will be a really interesting test for Wilson here because we saw Wilson last time out go head-to-head with Keel, look really good in the head-to-head matchup. Oh, he got the gold, baby. But looked really good in the head-to-head matchup, right? Keel has been a guy for Ole Miss that has really enabled them to play carries out of every role because of his efficiency in the jungle, right? But Wilson was able to kind of go heads up with him and neutralize a lot of what Keel likes to do. we'll see if Wilson is going to be able to make the first play happen, try to get his team ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it's a crazy statement to say that Wilson has looked much better this year than he did last year. He still
Without
has
a
that
doubt.
penchant to kind of overextend a little bit, but I think having only 35 who's just as maniacal as Wilson very much helps that jungle support. We're both going to go in, we're going to give our lives and hope that Sword, Mobility, and Denethor can carry that fight. I think it's actually helped Wilson a lot in terms of keeping his engage going, making sure that he's not, overextending and dying for a lot of these fights here. As Asylum and Sword trading in the mid lane. Two mid laners, like we said, never have been really the focal point for these guys, right? It's always been about their bottom lanes. It's always been about their top lanes here. And this match, I think, kind of inflates that even more when you see the Gwen, when you see the Ezreal and Rakan. As Wilson going for a level 3 gank, potentially. Keel may have done his research.
Oh yeah, Charm is dodged out on, and Keel misses on the drive-by, but Wilson finds himself in trouble. He's got to flash away. Keel gonna go after him and pick up first blood.
Keel is in Wilson's brain. That guy is in his walls right now. Knew exactly where Wilson was going to be after that level 3 gank, right? Coming to mid lane. All right, I'm just going to be able to counter it. Asylum does lose the flash, so it's a 2-for-1 flash trade. Big kill going on to Keel. He's going to come back with the Giant's Belt. He's going to go back to just farming his jungle. Unfortunate for Winthrop. A bit of a misstep, but it's not the end of the world, right? It's Skarner with a kill. I'm not like going too crazy. I'm not tilting too bad. As Sword does has a flash available, and they can potentially look for a play onto Asylum in the next couple minutes.
The longer you go without being able to make an impact on Asylum, though, the harder it's going to be to actually make a play on him later. With this Winthrop comp, you really want that first play to be made favorably on your side. Without that, it means that the pressure is on Wilson just that much more. Has been spotted out near the blue buff as he is on a ward, so the bot lane of Ole Miss acutely aware. And if you can shut down this Jin Zhao from making an early impact, you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I love that. And especially that's pretty much what's going to be Keel's job, right? Shadowing Wilson, making sure he doesn't get anything done onto the map, and just kind of outvaluing him as Stray.
Oh, Denethor
Solo
looking to
kill?
maybe win this 1v1, forces the flash out of Stray. And Denethor is putting the pressure on early.
Yeah, like I said, if I trust any player in CLOL in the top side to deal with a blind Gwen, it is Denethor. That guy knows that champion inside and out. Rhino! Base checking!
Yeah, he's going to have to hop away. No hook onto Shogo, but this is worrisome as Denethor coming back in on the top side. He's a little out of mana, though, so not too much follow-up to be had, but Wilson putting on this pressure down here. It's not going to be able to actually gank this bottom lane.
Ping's going out on the top side. Skarner, Keel specifically, was trying to ping this, trying to get a dive potentially on Denethor before he can recall and TP back in. But instead, he's going to take the recall. And Wilson has been doing a good job just kind of eating up a lot of Keel's camps. Has taken the Krugs, has now taken the Raptors, has essentially a 2-camp lead right now. And Keel's going to come back, and his old jungle is going to be pillaged and ravaged. They've also got some wards down, so they know where he's going to be. Really well played from Winthrop after that early mistake, specifically from Wilson to kind of come in, recover, and bounce back because of Keel's, let's say, overinvestment in the top side.
Yeah, and now Keel being level 4, right? He's a full level behind. Obviously, Skarner really strong at level 6. This could impact Ole Miss's ability to actually get early objectives. We'll see which one they want to go after and which one Winthrop wants to go after. As Keel coming through onto Sword, ultimate going to be used, and he's got to flash away from the charm. Played there well by Sword, but they do burn that key summoner just before the grubs come up.
Yeah, Flash and Emperor's Divide removed very quickly. Good gank angle from Keel once again, although Asylum a little bit low on mana, no ultimate available. Keel level 5, Rhino's level 4. This top lane skirmish, Ole Miss!
Goes down. Denethor is on his way as Rhino goes in, but they don't have the damage to be able to take out Keel and Asylum quite yet. The question is, does Ole Miss want to go back in? Looks like the pings will be onto the top side as Winthrop really want to get these grubs for their Jax and their Azir.
Just trade the dragon, Ole Miss. Don't throw the game at grubs like I've seen you so many times before. Whether you're Supernova or Ole Miss, I don't care what disguise you have. I've seen one too many times this team absolutely lose the lead they have at grubs. Instead, Winthrop is just going to take the one and trade it away. I like that. They got they got the health chunk onto Asila and also Keel. They've delayed it, and they've also delayed the potential 6 grub stacking, which would have been kind of devastating on either side, right? Gwen with 6 grubs or Denethor on this Jax with 6 grubs could just be a split push menace. Really well played from Winthrop to kind of just get one and get out, and also Ole Miss to pick up the rest too. No fights so far. Both of these teams kind of playing it a little safe, with Ole Miss being a bit more proactive, let's call it.
Yeah, but this does mean that Wilson is up on tempo, right? Because they go and they get the 1 grub. Keel didn't really do anything during that time, so it's essentially a free grub for Wilson, and then Keel has to spend that time on the other 2. That means that Wilson is already on the bottom side of the map, ready to clear out his next 2 camps, maybe ready to snuff out a play if Ole Miss wants to do something. They are hovering around this dragon, Rhino in the area, chilling out with Asila. This is exactly what we said was going to happen. They were going to try to 2v2 and make picks and plays happen. Oh.
Yeah, I think it's perfect.
Stray, hold on. Stray's dropping the ultimate on Denethor. Denethor popping his as well, the Grandmaster at Arms. He wants to go back in here. Large wave here for Denethor. Stray not able to do much more.
Yeah, both of these guys throwing down their ultimates, but no real all-in coming from either of them. A little bit maybe afraid of where potentially these junglers might be, although realistically both of these top laners just kind of testing each other, right? Denethor, Stray shaping up to be a very classic top lane CLOL matchup. I always like it when these 2 guys kind of go at it against each other. I feel like you said, the Ole Miss Winthrop rivalry has really turned into that. You could argue a couple years ago these teams match up, and like you said, Winthrop would almost always have it in the bag here. But the introduction of Shogo, Stray, and now Keel, both of these teams feel very evenly matched, as well as the leveling up from mobility. By the way, we didn't really mention that in the pre-draft and talk about it, but mobility from last year's CLOL Top 32 up until now has really leveled up his game, right? When he subbed in onto AoE, when he was playing in the Cyto GG Combine, this guy has just looked more and more like a complete AD carry, and I'm very excited to see how far he can go this year.
Me too, Shibby. This guy is now on the same level as AD carries like Shogo. Everybody was like, oh, well, Shogo's just a little bit better than mobility. No. I think they're both at that apex level of the best AD carries that CLOL has to offer. Dragon getting taken away here. Ole Miss and Keel will secure that one pretty much for free. So Wilson has still been chugging through his camps right now. He's behind on camps just a little bit, but it does feel like there have been some opportunities to fish around that Ole Miss is just not allowed to happen.
Yeah, and I think Keel, again, on that little bit more proactive streak, has the Flash Impale available. We look on both mid laners, their flashes are coming up. Struggler or Asila has his right now. And as I say that, Keel, I think, attempted a gank into the mid lane, but got spotted out pretty quickly. Stray and Denethor, once again, trading pretty aggressively. And in terms of health trades and chunks, I feel like Denethor has had the upper hand here. Bottom lane going just as we expected, right? Ezreal and Rakan virtually in no real danger, right? As mobility and Only 35 can't really do too much. Only 35 has been trying to fish for those hooks, but as long as Rhino doesn't int his face off going in for some of those battle dances, going in for some of those knockups, he should be completely fine. As Keel will just kind of tunnel through this wall. If Denethor steps up a little too far...
Well, he does leap in. The Counter-Strike stun will hit both of them. Denethor going to use his ultimate, but he will go down, and on the bottom side, Shogo and Rhino are pretty low. Rhino going to step in front of his buddy to eat a hook, but no! Oh, he betrayed him! Rhino, how could you?
They say be aware of the Ides of March. Yanni, be aware of the Ides of April 5th. Rhino absolutely sticking the knife in Shogo's back, not tanking that hook there. And I'd love to see what happens. Wait, we might not be done, Yanni.
Knocked up. Okay, no, we are done, as they decided we cannot go in on this guy. He does have his ultimate, but we will chunk him down to half. The Void Grubs are up. Winthrop is in position to get this done first. Keel coming over. He does have the sweep, but he's on a pink, so they're aware that this is happening. Vasila wants in. Looks like he does. Half HP. His sword is starting to come up as well. Both of them level 9. Ezreal coming through. It does tag Wilson. And Wilson's going to go way deep here. And he got caught on the charm. And he goes down. Keel gets his third. And the Grubs should go over to Ole Miss.
Ooh, nice little follow-up play. Shogo, really good roam after that death. Just absolutely coming to that top side. And a really, really quick response. Like you said, Ole Miss picking up the Grubs. They're going to have 5 Grubs to themselves. As Asila should be fine here, but Yeah, I want to know what happened as we get a pause. Okay, I'm really interested to know what happened in that bottom lane side, right? Because we got to see top lane Keel ganked. Denethor got the kill. I said the only way that Rhino and Choco die is if Rhino like massively ints or goes in. Maybe only 35 hit a hook down there, but I feel like this Ezreal Rakan lane should never be in any threat as, like we said, some technical pause, some stuff happening, a lot of action, and then we get you to the pause, Yanni.
Yeah, and what's really been disappointing is, obviously we saw that bot lane scrap what just happened. We were like, yeah, they're going to play it safe, right? And then we go away, there's a fight up top, and then immediately there's a death in the bottom lane, right? Like, oh yeah, they're going to be safe. It's the classic cast curse, right? But I have to say, Wilson has been looking very, very poor this game. I do think that he has had a couple of nice pressure release ganks that have come through, and it's a very good thing. Has done well there, but Ole Miss has really prevented him from actually going and getting kill angles on their side. And then, of course, he's gone a little too deep a couple of times, right? And he's now 0-2. Keel has 3 kills for himself. I mean, he's already got his heart steal. This Skarner is going to be very difficult to actually kill.
Yeah, and the 2v2s now that you can leverage. I feel like Skarner Gwen and even Skarner Ari beat out Zin and Jax, or even Zin and Azir, just because of how many kills he's gotten. He's 3-0 on Skarner here, and it sucks because obviously you want to try to build. You'd love these kills on a more carry-oriented jungler. Imagine if Keel was playing something like his Zyra. I mean, he would just be taking over this game, but it's a lot harder. As now Keel...
Knockups are there. Mobility's in trouble. He only has barrier. He pops it and dies. And now they're going to start to feed kills into Shogo. He picks up a double kill, and Ole Miss is humming along.
Keel, 100% kill participation right now. 3-0-2. Good look from Rhino, getting that knock-up in, and Keel coming right back with that Impale as well. Love that from Ole Miss. The proactiveness from these guys. They've clearly learned stuff from their last week and their last matchup against Winthrop. Because you remember Winthrop had a lot of solid early leads in that 3-2 loss, right? Like I said, it felt like Winthrop threw some of those games. Well, Ole Miss not even allowing that to happen, taking a nice 2,000 gold lead for themselves at around the 13-minute mark. Coming out of laning phase as well will be really good for them to make these plays. Triforce has been completed for Shogo as well as Roa Stray.
Good flash there from Denethor. Stray finds himself in trouble. 3 members of Winthrop. Good flash with the hook into the Counter-Strike, and Denethor gets his first.
Beautiful predict from only 35 there, and that's a much-needed kill being put into Denethor's hands, as well as keeping Stray kind of down and out just for a little bit. All these one-item power spikes on the Ole Miss side, they've hit it, right? They've hit their first legendary items, building towards their second. Winthrop lagging a little bit behind here, but now that everything's squared away, it feels like both of these teams are very even in their power budgets. It's just really Keel kind of being that tanky menace, and they might go for a dive onto mobility. This lane gets shoved in. No flash available. Valkyrie is up. Let's see if mobility can outplay this 1v3.
It's about to be a 1v4 in a second. Well played there by Keel, snuffing out the Valkyrie. He's got his 4th. Hang on to Syla. He's got one more dash now. He's going after Wilson, tags him for a little bit of damage. It looks like he will walk it out, and Ole Miss maybe sniffing around for this dragon. The Impale going down onto only 35, but the charm on the Impale target missed, but the X-Stall's hit back into the wall. Sword trying to put up the wall, but it's not going to work as Wilson has to limp away, and Ole Miss continuing to pick off Winthrop.
That kill lands, but that charm worries me a little bit. All right, guys, focus on the synergy. As Keel is just going in, he doesn't care.
Yeah, Keel is so damn tanky. He said, I'm going to put the team on my back this game. The Ezreal ultimate coming through just as the Xin Zhao ultimate expires. Another kill going over to Ole Miss. 4 kills for Shogo, 4 for Keel. They're in the driver's seat.
Yanni, that's not Keel. That's Thomas the Tank Engine. The way he's just chugging along.
That's Thomas the thermonuclear bomb, bro.
Yeah. That guy does not see it engage he doesn't like. Ixtal's impact off cooldown, I'm going in. And the fact that Ole Miss is ready to follow up there, the snipe coming in from Shogo, more kills going into their hands, more gold going into their hands. And although I would have liked to see them peel off for that Dragon after that only 35 kill. It doesn't matter. They're still able to pick it up. Dragon stacking going to the favor of Ole Miss. They're 5-1 grub split, and Herald is coming up in about 15 seconds. Winthrop, they do look like they have first move as the vision has been laid out, but what do you do when Keel just walks in?
Oh, Denethor is in so much trouble. What is going on up here, man? He's just gonna get tagged by Shogo and killed. That was an error. That was an error for sure.
Especially with Herald coming up so quickly. Maybe he was just trying to get that turret for himself. Maybe he was just trying to pick that up, but instead dies for it. Doesn't even get the tier 1 in the top side. And now Herald should be relatively free for Ole Miss here if they actually choose to fancy it. Shoko is going to get a lot of alone time on this top side as well. Minions and potentially this turret gold going in their favor. Sword's going to pick up the bottom lane. Just gold being traded across the map here.
See?
Realistically,
I don't think so.
Yeah. No. This turret's done. It's done. And I think they should just start transitioning towards this Herald. Yeah, 5 grubs is really, really strong. And yeah, there's not too much Winthrop can do about it. And that 2,000 gold lead, that was what, like 13 minutes? Yanni, you take a look. Now it's 17 minutes in the game. They're 4,000 gold ahead right now.
And an uncontested Herald, although Crowl only 35. Doing Nautilus things, baby.
Put him on a milk carton. Keel just put that man on a milk carton, yoinked him away from his team over the wall. Really creative use of that impale, and yeah, Keel's just been on one. And you know what the best part about it, Yanni? Is that we're not in Fearless. There is a potential where Keel gets this champion again in this best of 5, right? Is it warranting a ban from Winthrop's side? That's the real question.
Yeah, this is why this champion has such high priority elsewhere and is often banned. It can do disgusting things and take really creative angles, and Keel is maximizing his output on this champion right now. Denethor will hop onto Rhino as he sees this is his way out with the Counter-Strike stun down. Lose a little bit of vision for it, but I'm sure you're more than happy with not actually dying. As Sword will take top tier 1. He will slide out, but Keel is right there. Emperor's Divide, but Asila is now ready to chase after him. Charm right in his mitt as he will fall.
Can't miss a charm if you're barrel stuffing it into his face. His Sword, unfortunately, his first death of the series, funnily enough, but I feel like he's been pressured very heavily in that mid lane and just has not been able to do anything, as they are going to set that Herald down and going to give some much needed tier 2 gold potentially over to Asila and Keel. But there might be a responsible Winthrop as they're overloading the top side.
Well, it's only Wilson, and it's only 35, as he has to use that Crescent Guard to try and protect himself. Only 35, goes in with the hook. That Impale is on cooldown. He's well aware of it. Hook going to go in. It's going to land onto Asila. They're going to knock him up too. They have to go for it, but Rhino breaks up the back line, and Asila's still alive. Denethor is in. The counter-strike to kill the shutdown. But Wilson is stuck in a 3v1. Stray is on the back line just trying to cause a distraction, and he will get out with enough HP as they take down Wilson.
1 for 1 overall, if you want to count that delayed kill from Sword as a new fight as he just enter that top side. So no gold going into the favor of Ole Miss. Winthrop invested a lot of resources for that tier 2 turret in the top side, although you look on Ole Miss's side, TP not available for Stray, right? Flash down from Asila. With Dragon coming up in about a minute and a half, some of these cooldowns are very crucial. Ole Miss should be timing it correctly. Denethor, no flash available. Sword is going to be the one to look at. A big potential Shurima shuffle from him. Flash Emperor's Divide is gonna be the move. If you can slide in and split up this Ole Miss team composition, there is a very likely scenario where Winthrop can just peel off and kill off those stragglers, right? Denethor is very strong on this Jax as we get a flash of the gold here. Top lane going in Denethor's favor. Obviously, we saw, I believe, jungle going into Keel's favor. Ole Miss's gold leads are exactly where you expect them to be. A 506 Garner and a 613 Ezreal are far ahead of their counterparts right now. But it's not like Winthrop cannot turn these fights around with some good team play and with some very good ultimate usage from these guys.
I think if you're Winthrop, what you're looking for is just maybe a kill or two and sacking the objective, right? If Ole Miss wants to go on Soul Point, well, you can't really stop them from doing so with this Chemtech Soul. And you just need to get something if you're Winthrop. You cannot afford to bleed out anymore. Down about 4,000 gold. You have good scaling. The Jax scales well. Corky, of course, will deal more damage the more items he gets, and then you're really hanging your hat on Sword, who has had some incredible Azir performances in the past. CSing very well, hasn't been able to make that impact, as you mentioned. Perhaps could later on in the game if they're not too far behind. This objective going for free over to Ole Miss is not exactly a good sign for Winthrop's future.
Yeah, there's nothing to trade on the map either, right? They can't go for bot lane tier 2. Mid lane tier 1 is still standing. Like, Chemtech Dragon, like you said, goes down for absolutely free. I don't know why mid and AD carry are splitting farm here. Someone should be going to that top side and bottom lane, but really, really good objective control from Ole Miss. And Otacon is up, although I don't think they'll fancy it. It looks like Winthrop are going for some bush cheese, but they're going to get spotted out. Rhino doing a good job using these enhanced blast plants, the Scryer orbs, specifically, to kind of clear out vision and snuff out some of these plays. Although Winthrop, they see something.
Hook does not land onto Rhino here. Keel has shown up and has realized, oh my god, all of Winthrop is here. See if he wants to go, and he does have that souped up blast plant. That would make for a nice impale attempt, honestly, should we?
Knowing Keel this series, I thought he might just go into those four and be like, how many of these guys can I actually hit with my ultimate? But really good play from Ole Miss, kind of understanding that the only play that Winthrop can make is some of these bush cheese stuff, because right now they're just a stronger team on the map. A lot of these guys cresting upon their 2-item power spikes. Sword has hit his Leandry's Nashors, although Wilson still far behind here. I'm very afraid, because Asila has now hit full stack of Roa, has gotten the Leandry's, and once he hits that Rift Maker, right now at 2 items, he's a menace. But at Rift Maker, he's going to be impossible to kill. I don't think Sword, Wilson, or Denethor will actually be able to kill this guy. Even if he gets hit with a depth charge, I think he's completely fine here. So the target selection for Winthrop is slowly but surely shrinking here.
Yeah, everybody always says, oh, Ahri's got her ultimate, she's super safe, right? Well, regular Ahri build, you can still get caught and still die if you get caught with your ultimate up, right? Or you're only able to get off one charge and blown up quickly. With these 2 items, there's no way that's going to happen to Asila, right? And you said it right. Your ability to pick off these targets is waning, because Shogo rarely puts himself in a bad spot. Rhino on this Rakan just gets so many opportunities to go in and out. Stray obviously has the Hollowed Mist, and you can't actually kill Keel. Like, he's just way too big.
Yeah, you can't kill Keel. It is looking rough for only 35, and unfortunately, he's going to have to go, and he's going to have to start things off for his team, because Wilson as well, sitting on that Sundered Sky, not really able to do too much here. Ole Miss can kind of just walk into any quadrant of Winthrop's jungle they want to and say, we own this now. You have to vacate. Sorry, the eviction notice is here. We're going to put down some wards. We're going to be tearing down this building over there, and eventually it's going to be Ole Miss dominated, and it's going to be tough for Winthrop to clear this vision and not get caught out. Look at that poke coming in from Shogo as well.
That was
fearlessly
shield too, right?
Yeah, fearlessly dashing forward.
Fearless.
Yeah,
this isn't fearless.
Okay, fair enough. My bad.
Uh-oh, Shogo maybe had a little bit of fear there. It's a flash for flash trade, but here comes Keel. Right on top of only 35, the Impale's only going to land onto 1. But let's see what Sword can do. Sword using those Sand Soldiers well.
TP's coming in.
Onto Wilson as they kill. Only 35. Sword misses the Emperor's Divide. And that might do it for the fight for Winthrop. They don't want any piece of this, but Asila wants to go in. Charm does not land onto Sword. It looks like it will just be a 1-0.
Yeah, interesting that Keel ended up impaling only 35. Maybe that was the best target, considering everybody else had flashes up. They do get that kill, but for a team like Ole Miss, who's so far ahead right now, 4,000 gold, that fight a lot closer than I expected. Maybe different if Sword hits that Emperor's Divide, right? If he lands that onto a couple members, I think Winthrop's wing this. So far, Ole Miss keeping this game closer than I'm kind of comfortable with right now. That fight, I feel like, should have been Ole Miss dominated.
Without a doubt, Shibby, and I like that Winthrop decided, hey, we need to cut our losses here. We went for the play. We could not land it. Let's not fight a bad fight. Let's keep, the gold bleed out to a minimum here. It's 4,500. Hasn't gotten that much worse. Shogo is going to get hooked. But here comes Rhino. He's going to drop up a couple of members here as they take out only 35. Wilson's got a flash over the wall, too. And now Ole Miss is in firm control of the river.
I love that from Rhino. Perfect scoreline right now. Flawless, no deaths on the Rakan, which, look, I get it. It's not super impressive because of the mobility he has, but Rhino has found some very good engage angles and specifically has hit some fantastic multi-man charms. You talk about that top lane fight that broke out earlier in that tier 2 as the Otacon is getting started, but Winthrop want to do something about it.
Sword is so low, and Wilson is just taking damage to the face. Denethor has realized we have to go on the backside here. Sword got tagged by Stray's ultimate here as they have the Otacon revives here. If Ole Miss want to go for more, Denethor is going to need an evac, but he gets knocked up. He does get hopped over the wall. Sword with the flash, but it means Denethor got caught by the charm. Ezreal ultimate coming through. It's going to tag Wilson. His roots have come out. Only 35 has rejoined the fight, but Ole Miss continue to dominate the map.
Good animation cancel from Ezreal or Shogo on the back end, and Asila doing a damn good job just corralling Winthrop. They said if you want to fight for this Otacon, Wilson's
got to go back in because he's stuck, but even if he gets a kill, it's not even a full kill's worth of gold. Keel picks up kill number 6 as Ole Miss look like they've turned over a new leaf.
Still a lot of League of Legends left to play this series, Yanni, and maybe they have turned over a new leaf, but old habits die hard. They probably take game 1 as they've looked very dominant here. 6-0-8 on the Skarner, 0-0-12 on Rhino, and obviously Shogo having himself a very fantastic game, 8-1-4 on the Ezreal. But I mean, Asila's been doing a damn good job on this Ahri, right? Just landing crucial charms. Yeah, some of the easy ones he's missed, but some of the more harder ones, right? The one onto Denethor in that Raptor Pit, another one onto Sword, right? Just doing a damn good job hitting the charms that matter and allowing Ole Miss to function and just take the entire map here. Near flawless objective control as well. I think they've only lost one grub. That's about it this game.
All right, let's see what you can do, Winthrop. Baron down to about 4,000 HP. Wilson is here, ready to go in, but he gets pulled in. The Baron is low, and it's secured by Sword. And Sword misses another Emperor's Divide. He's got to get out of there, but he falls as they chase him down. Only 35, and Rhino going at it, but Asila is looking to slide through with that Ahri ultimate. The knockup is there too. Shogo picks up his 10th of the game.
I'm a disappointed father.
Yeah,
I'm a disappointed
listen,
father.
bro, you shouldn't have said anything. Cast a curse. Denethor on the split push here. He will find bot tier 2. The question is, can he actually beat Stray in a fight, and how much will his team lose for it? Stray still has that revive. He's going to hop over the wall. Denethor looking to take him out. The counter-strike is there, and it will send him back to withdraw. But guess what? Mobility in a lot of trouble. He's forced off the Nexus turret. It's the first Nexus turret down to half HP, and they will take it out, but Ole Miss will get chased off.
Probably end the game if they have Baron there, Yanni. Unfortunately, the smites go down, and somehow, some way, Sword ends up picking it up with a Sand Soldier. Chemtech Soul in Ole Miss's hand. That's a blunder. Like I said, old habits die hard, Yanni. Unfortunately, Ole Miss just cannot get that near-perfect game, and they cannot get that near-perfect objective control as they did lose that Baron, which is going to delay the game just a little bit longer. Goes into the favor of Winthrop, as you said, Azir, Corki, Denethor on this Jax. Very high-scaling champions, but one more team fight like that, and I'm sure Ole Miss just take the game. One Nexus turret goes down, as you said, the inhibitor turret being taken away here, but a little bit worrying that Stray could not 1v1 Denethor in that side lane, right? I think that potentially opens up an avenue for Winthrop to exploit, right? Denethor obviously sees it, knows that he has that 1v1 in the bag. Maybe Winthrop are going to look to just keep that 4v4 in the mid lane and allow Denethor to get to work.
And Denethor is on 2 items. He did go Zhonya's second, which is, you typically see the Jax go at 3rd. So interesting to note is he's a little bit weaker than your average Jax at this point, but still, going to be a threat. Sword, so close to that Rabadon's death cap. I mean, he has had some really poor fights. His Emperor's Divides have not been there. He's looked all out of sorts this game, but the longer you allow an Azir to hang in the game and stay in, the harder it's going to be to finish the game. I like what Ole Miss is doing here, just making sure mid is shoved in to allow Stray to get this push into the bottom lane to potentially have 4 people come down and start to take out these last couple structures outside of this.
I mean, the tankiness of Ole Miss's composition is a testament to what's happening, right? There have only been 3 kills on the Winthrop side, and unfortunately, Sword, like you said, hasn't been able to hit those Emperor's Divide, hasn't been able to divide up Ole Miss, and there just hasn't been an opportunity for Winthrop to get any kills. It must be insanely frustrating if you're playing something like the Azir, like the Corki, and you just cannot confirm a kill, right? Corki has had 1 kill, 1 assist this whole time. Denethor picked up a kill on Stray, and that's about it. The rest of Ole Miss are insanely beefy, and they're just going to walk into the top side completely for free and take this inhibitor turret. I mean, Winthrop just kind of have to give their base up.
Wilson gets impaled, but the pull is in. But here comes the big charms. Rhino got knocked away, so he only lands on a 2. His sword is well protected as they need to make plays. Denethor got to the back line, but he can't get on to Struggler, and now they're going to just turn on to Keel. But Keel is so damn thick. Denethor's in trouble. Here comes Sword, trying to keep his team in the game, but Shogo says, no way! He gets a triple kill, and you know he wants a penta. He's got the quadra kill, and he will cut down mobility. Woo! Shogo, game 1 penta, puts the dagger on him in game 1.
Beautiful team fight play, and that was a 4v5 the whole time, Yanni. Shogo said, I'm not just good for 1, I can carry this whole team on my back. What a way to wake up in game 1. 15-1-5 there. Beautiful play from Ole Miss from start to finish. Absolutely dominant performance there. When Winthrop, you gotta wake up, because Ole Miss just put your ass out the door.
Absolutely. They said, don't let it hit you on your ass on the way out, too, as they slammed him outside in the cold. Only 3 kills for them, and finally in that last fight, when Sword hits a really nice Emperor's Divide, Shogo just, no, this is not happening. The old Ole Miss, maybe something would have turned around for Winthrop there. Not this time. Just a little too thick was Keel. Wilson couldn't get to the back line that fight to help Denethor out. And overall, you know, we know that Ole Miss was ahead pretty handedly at that point in the game. Still something you got to be careful about. They closed the door, as you said, managed to claim the game 1 victory. And I have to say, I was really impressed. I thought they were going to spend a lot of time on that bottom tier too, but they just rotated quickly when Asylum was solo pushing that top wave. They said, hey, we can just move right over. This is great map rotations by Ole Miss.
Yeah, really clean play. And the fact that, you know, Stray just had the patience to just push that bottom lane, right? Keep going, take that inhibitor. I don't know if they expected to win that fight, but the fact that, like you said, Shogo just turned it up to 11 at the last second, ended up getting that, pentakill, turning a 4v5, right? Winthrop had the numbers advantage, but they just didn't have the DPS to go in. You saw how difficult it was to actually kill some of these guys, right? Keel absorbed like every single ability on the map and was still at half HP, had the Sterax shield, as well as Rhino on that Rakan. I think got handed his first death of the whole game. Really, really well played from Ole Miss there. Beautiful, beautiful played. And the fact that they just moved around the map, very, very well played. I like how you mentioned maybe they've turned a new leaf. A lot of League of Legends still left to go. And if there's any team that can bring it back, if there's any team that could take this to a game 5, it's definitely Winthrop, Yanni.
Yeah, Ole Miss, their blow up last week had been a little publicized. They had a really rough week of CLOL last week. Colomer got the team in a room. They screamed at each other. They hugged it out the end. The family got stronger. And they showed it in game 1, Shibby. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to see if Winthrop can fight back or Ole Miss are going to repeat what they did in game 1. Game 2 draft coming at you after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the NECC Collegiate League of Legends lower finals between Ole Miss and Winthrop. Ole Miss coming alive in that first game. Kiel absolutely shutting down Wilson. Like, locked him up, put him on Kiel Island, and, just ran wild in that game. I mean, we're talking
Clamps.
like, if this is a football line, we're talking like 11 catches, 212 yards, 3 touchdowns, like Justin Jefferson numbers out of Kiel in that first game. And then, of course, Shogo. Can't forget him. It was quiet at first, but then he really started to come alive and then capped it off with that big pentakill to end the game. And you know that Winthrop's got to be licking their wounds and looking for an opportunity to knot up the series at 1 as we go to the Game 2 draft.
Yeah, really interesting from Winthrop's side to kind of open up that Gwen on red side. Sides have swapped here. Winthrop on blue side. Ole Miss on the red side here. Now the question is Ole Miss willing to open any of that stuff up? Maybe they trade OP for OP, right? Maybe they trade Gwen for Nefiri or Nefiri for Gwen. Although Kiel doesn't strike me as a Nefiri player, and Wilson obviously last week had a dominant performance in the NACL on that Nefiri, right? It was opened up and absolutely just crushed who they were playing against. Both of these teams obviously compete. Yeah, Dog is good, and both of these teams obviously compete in CLOL, and they compete in NACL with both of these rosters. So a lot of time, and these guys face off much more than we think of. Probably the most this year than they have last year. Here is the Skarner has already warranted a ban from Winthrop. They said, nope, Kiel's not allowed to have that ever again. Probably going to be that way for the whole series, but that does open up a couple more avenues for Ole Miss. Now you have to drop some of those bans that you were doing, right? Maybe the Nefiri, maybe the Gwen, maybe the Jax, the Renekton, the Rumble obviously still banned from Winthrop's side here. Let's see what that final ban is coming out from the Eagles here.
I'm really interested as to why Winthrop banned the Skarner and didn't just leave it available to maybe pick it themselves. It looks like they aren't really interested in taking Skarner as a B1 and would rather give Denethor the strongest option available. Given the fact that Mbessa is up and Gwen is down, they might give him Mbessa. That would open the door for a stray Renekton, though. So I'm not sure if that's what you really want to do as Nefiri. Going to be the last ban for the side of Ole Miss. So, doors open for anything here. It looks like we'll see a Varus first pick come through for mobility. He's been quite good on it, and we all know the utility that this champion brings. Lane dominance too. Very early game centric carry to try and spur an early lead for your squad.
I feel like we just rock Mbessa Sejuani here, right? For Ole Miss. I think those are the two of the stronger champions on this patch. A very good top jungle duo. Instead, they're going to opt in for the Maokai, which if you don't know Ole Miss, let's say you just got into CLOL this year. Let's say you just like, I want to watch these guys can compete in ACL. That Maokai is not a guaranteed jungle pick. Rhino last year has had a penchant for flexing that into the bottom lane.
Did it in NACL the other day.
Yeah, literally, they will play that in the support role. So this Maokai doesn't reveal a whole lot on the Ole Miss side, and they're going to lock in that Ezreal once again for Shogo. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Although this time around, Winthrop, I feel, are better equipped to deal with it. A little bit longer range if mobility opts in for the Varus. And that's a blind Silas coming out for Sword here. Lyssandra's available, which is a very good pick for Ole Miss. Syndra as well. Again, we're not in Fearless, so you can just pick up the Azir or the Ahri if you want to, but that denies that Ahri pick. Instead, they're going to opt in for the Talia, which, mind you, was banned out last game from Winthrop. So another pick for Asila that he's had a lot of success on. I feel like his roam timing has been very good. I hate to compare him to Uncle Sam in some ways, but also Uncle Sam had some really good roam timers, some diabolical ones at times. I feel like Asila has kind of taken on that role, but now is able to carry as well in that mid lane.
Yeah, we haven't really seen all of the carry games come out for him yet. Not going to see that really on the Talia, but we'll see if he can make his mark on this game. Seeing the Camille banned away from Denethor, it's a champion you always have to be aware of. And I thought that Winthrop would probably ban away junglers that would work quite well with this Talia. We're going to see Vi get taken away. The question is, are they going to ban another jungler, or are they going to ban Mbessa? Because with Renekton gone, this will open the door for an Mbessa pick coming for Ole Miss and giving it over to Stray.
Oh, there you go, Yanni. On point,
good jungle
as
options.
always.
Now
Yeah, a lot of
we've
good.
got good options to pair up with this Talia.
Yeah, a lot of good jungle options available. Pantheon is the one I'm thinking of, right? As much as I have disdain for that champion, I still think it's very good. Don't know if Keel is the biggest Pantheon player, but instead, they're going to blind the top lane in here. Gnar for Stray. He has been picking that up, has played it last year as well. I think it's completely safe. And again, leaves up that R5, potentially allows, this jungler to come in. Is it going to be a support pick, though? Like, this might just be Keel Maokai, and we might just end up seeing R5 support, which, again, plays into Rhino's wheelhouse really well. This looks like it's going to be a poke-centric bot lane. Varus Karma into Ezreal. Very good. Denies the Ezreal Karma on top of that. I like what Winthrop is cooking so far.
Yeah, not only that, this Karma is going to do a great job at
support.
enabling your Sylas, at enabling your Aatrox to get them in the fight with these speed-up shields, being able to lock people down with the tether as well. We're going to see Rhino go back to the well on this Rakan. Not a big surprise considering Rakan Ezreal is a good combo, but as you said, this does mean that Keel will be on this Maokai in the jungle. So both of these junglers going to be willing to sacrifice their camps for sure in order to make plays happen around their map and enable some of the members of their team. Want to look at this mid jungle duo because Maokai Talia provides so much disruption. You are able to root somebody up with the twisted advance. You're able to hit the seismic shove, and all of a sudden, you are probably dead.
Tons of lockdown potential coming out on the side of Ole Miss, but Winthrop have gone to a very classic team composition. Right? Double melee solo laners, Sejuani jungle, and they've given mobility and only 35 something that they can just kind of function on their own. This is going to be poke-orientated Varus with the Comet, double Comet bot lane. Like, it's tough because I feel like Sylas, specifically Sword, has a bevy of ultimates to choose from. Gnar ultimate, Maokai ultimate, Rakan ultimate functions
we saw what Faker
so
did with
well.
At World.
Exactly. Yeah, it's such a good bevy of ultimates. Even then, you could argue, if you steal an Ezreal ultimate, that's a lot of damage coming in here. I feel like this game rests once again upon Sword's shoulders, and I don't know if he's up to the task right now.
We were once personally victimized by a Sylas stealing an R ultimate. We know how powerful that is here on the broadcast, man. So we'll see. It will take a lot. Ole Miss is going to really need to shut down Sword. The good news is they have the tools. You get this unraveled Earth and get the micro stuns on the Sword when he tries to dash around to avoid things. If you can just get on top of this guy, it should be incredibly difficult for him to actually run away. I think if you run into a scenario like you did last game where Sword is able to just farm with Asila and chill out and not have too many disruptions, that will be a net negative for Ole Miss. On his chickens, they're starting up on the top.
Yeah, they know where Keel is, although they don't know really where Sedge is right now. I feel like
bad, guys.
Yeah, pretty bad here, but look at this pathing coming out from Keel. He started his Raptors, and he immediately went to his bottom side. Maybe he's going to look for an early bottom lane gank to relieve some of this pressure from the Varus Karma. And Wilson's not going to be here, by the way. He has opted in to clear his full top side. This is very sneaky pathing from Keel. If this works out, I mean, he's a genius, right?
Yeah. And then he gets a path back up topside as well to potentially dive onto Denethor if he's taken so low like he is here. I mean, Stray is just taking it to him. This is a tough matchup early on for the Aatrox just because you're ranged, you're melee into ranged most of the time.
Yeah, for a majority of that lane, right? And I think one thing we failed to talk about is the fact that Ole Miss has a lot of good disengage potential, right? The Talia obviously there, the Maokai ultimate going to deny the Aatrox, deny the Sylas. And if you can kind of stuff out that engage, there's not really a whole lot Winthrop can do. Right? If Wakao or Wilson, in this case, hits that Glacial Prison, the rest of the team tries to follow up. If Keel just throws down the ultimate, there's not too much left to do there. And Ole Miss still have a lot in the tank, right? They got Ezreal poke, they've got Talia poke. They can still continue these fights at a distance, while mobility have to cycle his cooldowns. Chain of Corruptions is going to be very big, landing it onto key members. Shogo, Rhino, Asila are going to be the ones I think he's going to be targeting. A lot of burst, a lot of single target damage coming out from Winthrop that can just be denied completely by the Legos and the Twisted Advance and Grasping Roots.
We never saw Keel show up to the bot lane. Wilson is
Oh,
hanging
no.
around, probably anticipating there being a counter yank. You can see the missing pings onto the Gromp, so they have
he's
no
top.
idea that Keel is up top. Denethor feels
Whoa.
quite safe, and all of a sudden he's going to realize that he isn't. He's trying to dash away, but Keel flashes on top of him. The Infernal Chain's not going to do a damn thing as Denethor is stuck, and First Blood goes to Stray. Trying to make a play in the mid lane, forcing the flash out of Asilo, but he gets stunned up. Somebody finish him off.
Whoa!
Sword's got to go super deep, and he ends up dying for it. It's a 1-for-1.
Oh, and Wilson here, but he can't do anything about it. And that pathing from Keel, again, we thought he was going to go to the bottom side, but it actually allows him to show top around the 4-minute timer. Think about it. If you're Winthrop, you're saying, okay, we just saw Keel on Raptor Camp. He's probably clearing top to bot. He's going to take his red side, then he's going to go bottom lane. Instead, he opts in for Raptors into blue side clear, into coming back up top. Denethor had no clue he was there. He did not expect him at that timer at all.
Diabolical pass.
Really good job from Keel there. And that's what you get when you get a jungler of his experience, who's played at the tier 2 level, who has been, looked at the tier 1 level in his career as round 2 in the mid lane.
All right, he gets flashed on, and Asila is stuck, and he goes down. Sword will get his second kill of the game. First gank wasn't as successful, but this one, clean as a whistle.
Yeah, really well played. And I like that going back to him, especially if you've got that flash available. And really greedy from Asila. As you look onto that bottom side, it's completely pinked up. He has no vision there. Should be cheating more to that top side, whereas he has the ward there, and he also has the scuttle crab vision. I just feel like he wasn't expecting Wilson to sack his camps, but I mean, Wilson's on Sejuani, right? He's not going to be worried about being super efficient. He wants to get Sword ahead. He wants to put him in an advantageous position so that he can kind of just run this game. And right now, 2-1 on the Silas. We talked about him having a lot of that carry potential on his shoulders. So far, so good for Winthrop.
Yeah, overall, what they're wanting this game, right? As we said, if it's even, then it would be beneficial for Sword. But right now, Sword up in CS, up in kills. This is exactly what you would want. Get your Silas big. He's now level 6. We're going to see if he's going to be able to make the first move, right? You get to steal a Silas ultimate and then just say, all right, I'm showing up to the bot lane. We're going to have a party. Or I'm showing up top. We're going to go kill Stray.
Look at this mid lane. They're going to try to pressure Asila again right as his grub spawn. The roam has come out from both mobility and only 35 here. Instead, Ole Miss are going to opt in to trade that dragon and say, you know what? We don't have mid lane prio. Top lane is getting pushed in right now. Let's just take the dragon and see what we can do. Mobility might fancy himself a steal, but so far, an objective trade on both sides.
Ooh. Close. He's not quite Gumayushi. And it will just be, as you said, a trade of objectives. Grub's gonna go for Winthrop. It'll obviously be pretty good for Denethor. A Sword's really gonna like that too. Strong solo laner Silas. So we'll see. As Sword does have the Maokai ultimate, so the move is gonna be on him to go make something happen and propel Winthrop into the lead.
He could just make a play on his own, right? He could call Wilson over and say, you know what, I'm going to invest this ultimate, CC chain him, and there's not a whole lot Asila can do, unfortunately. And I feel like 6 grubs, so much better on Winthrop, right? Aatrox, Silas in these side lanes might just be unstoppable. Like Struggler or Silas is not going to be able to really deal with Sword in this side lane, right? If he has 6 grubs, I mean, the 1v1 potential for Sword is massive on this Silas. The Kingslayer, healing, everything like that. Unless some Grievous Wounds does get picked up, I feel like Asila is going to have a really tough time. His job is to kind of make plays on the map prior to 14 minutes so they can get in the lead. But Wilson's
got his ultimate too. See what the move is with the ultimate out. He whiffs, he Smithies it, and Sword is tanking, but he should be able to get out without a problem. Another successful gank onto Asila.
Bully Asila. Take his lunch money, shove him into the locker. That's exactly what Winthrop are doing right now. 1-3 on this Talia. And because he's not on something as mobile as the Ahri, which obviously would have provided him a lot more safety, is Stray.
Stray.
I think he's just clearing the wave here. He's just clearing the wave. He's not
Use
looking
the
for an
cooldown,
all-in.
although the World Ender has been popped, and now Stray, he's going to struggle to get out, and he can't.
He's dead.
He's just going to take so many auto attacks. He does have his flash available, but Denethor does too, and he's in hot pursuit, looking to take out Stray. He's got to sidestep around, and he just can't do it.
I am very confused on that play from Stray there. I thought he was just looking to clear the wave, get on out, but Denethor says, your ultimate's down, you're in mini form, I have flash for flash, like, you know, I'm going to chase you to the ends of the earth. And the extra lifesteal coming out, I mean, very well played from Denethor. Big misplay from Stray. I didn't like that. I really thought you just clear the wave and get out. Pays for it. Kind of just ruins all that hard work that Keel did in that early game, right? With that diabolical pathing.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson has just said, I don't really care about your pathing. I'm just going to go and do my thing this game. And it has worked out. Outside of that first play, Wilson has really gotten his butt in gear this one, right? Last game, absolutely shut down at every turn, was unable to make really any successful plays. Now in this game, it's gotten a lot better. Good buffer there by Sword. And Asila is just having a really difficult time now with Sword being so far ahead. He's so tanky too, well on his way to building that Route of Ages.
And I think a really good way to characterize both of these teams, nice stop from Shogo, is that both of these guys, wait a minute.
Here we go. Here we go again. Good flash from Sword. Keel is here. Roots up onto 2.
Rhino's
and
here.
Rhino's flying in. He's going to land the charm. Sword trying to pop his own ultimate. Charms up multiple people after he got the Kingslayer heal. The question is, can Wilson survive? He will flash. He will dash. But he will be pushed right back in. Hold on a minute. They turn it around on Keel. The absolute reversal. Shutdown goes to Rhino, but Sword gets his third.
Making that a 1-for-1 after everything that's happened is really good for Winthrop. We're not done, Yanni. Top lane.
Okay, Denethor does not have the will or the gumption to go in. His Sword still dealing damage, but Shogo really squeezing as much as he can out of this champion early on.
Blood from a stone is unfortunately Ezreal's only sitting on that sheen, but what I want to talk about for both of these teams is that I think a really good way to characterize these guys is good ultimate from Stray to deny Denethor any sort of aggression, is that both of these guys, Winthrop and Ole Miss, they look like they can beat any team, but also they just look like they can lose to any team, right? There's no better way of summarizing both of these guys.
This isn't just any
and depending on, yeah, fair enough, I do agree, but it feels like Winthrop can have that game 1. They can absolutely get smashed and come back into game 2, something fierce, right? I mean, Wilson looks like a different player. Sword looks like a different player. These guys have the ability to just turn it up, and I think that's some of their biggest strength, but also some of their biggest weaknesses, that they just cannot be consistent.
Denethor has popped the World Ender. He's not able to make that much of an impact on it right now, but what it will do is allow the grubs to be completed by Winthrop. So they will get 6 grubs for their very strong solo laners here. The question is, will they elect to fight for this dragon? Kill being on the top side means it's not really going to be able to do much here, so we're going to teleport down to the bottom side to catch the wave that Asila has pushed in, and also give Winthrop presence down here if they want the Drake.
6 grubs going over into the favor of Winthrop. We'll see how many turrets they're able to actually take with Denethor and Sword splitting that side. Good 1-3-1 composition. Oh my!
But Keel, oh.
Huh?
Oh wait, no, they're going to find mobility as Asila had shown up using his ultimate mobility, getting well protected, but Shogo weaves in somehow, some way, curves the Mystic shot to find mobility.
Sword still here. He's going to steal that
Sword's got
Maokai
his own
ultimate.
Maokai
Shogo.
ultimate. Only 35 is rooted up Shogo, and Sword's going to throw out the grasping roots. They're going to block for Shogo. 2 members will get tagged up, but the question is, will Keel go down? He goes back in. He went a little bit too far there. Sword gets pulled in, but it's okay. Only 35 claims the kill, and now Wilson getting tagged quite a bit here by Asila and Shogo, but things are okay.
I love that look from Sword. Really well played. And yeah, Keel just didn't really have any options, right? He was tagged up. He was stunned. He tried to W in, try to get some of that lifesteal going on with his passive. Unfortunately, Keel's just not tanky. He opted in for the Leandry's build instead of going full tank, so he's a lot squishier. And now, Winthrop, with that play in the mid lane, have now picked up this dragon, have stopped the dragon stacking, quote-unquote, from Ole Miss on top of taking 6 grubs. This is looking like a complete reversal of game 1, where Ole Miss had almost near complete objective control with only 1 going over Winthrop. Now, Winthrop has had complete objective control, and it's been off the back of Wilson and Sword, the mid-jungle duo for Winthrop, who, like we've talked about, have never really been the huge focal point for this team. They are just playing off of these guys very well.
Yeah, these guys are playing really well this year, right? You know, these are guys that have had some storied history in collegiate and in amateur, right? Wilson, as we know, has been a part of that Ottawa Braves roster. There's a big focal point over there. Sword,
Grinning ear to ear.
former TSM Academy mid laner that ended up moving to support, moved back to mid lane, and it was pretty solid, right? Just really nothing more, but now has been much better as Wilson maybe bit off a little bit more than he could chew. Sword gets rooted up, but he has that Gnar ultimate. Let's see what he's going to do with it. Lands it onto Keel. Now he's just got to pop the ultimate, but he's going to hold it in the back pocket as they look for more. Stray, almost at Mega Gnar, but Keel has already been picked off. So they are looking to deal some good damage, maybe even take this top tier 1 turret. Our Winthrop.
Yeah, Keel, unfortunately, again, just not tanky enough. Immediately they go on to him, and Shogo was pushing mid lane that whole time. Maybe there's a re-engage angle coming out from Ole Miss here. Rhino has the ultimate able flash as well. This guy has been absolutely maniacal on this recon, and Sword's mid.
All right, they're going to catch Stray. They burst him to half. Can he Mega Gnar? He does, and he stuns too. Asylum and Shogo, it's their time to shine as Wilson's got to flash away. But
Sword's
Shogo
here.
is trying to do some damage. Sword on the backside. There's 2 very juicy carries,
Disaster!
and he found them. Great play from Winthrop to salvage it.
Winthrop coming in hot here. Sword on the Silas, 4-1-5, near 100% kill participation. They thought there was an angle. They thought that Sword could not get there fast enough. The Mega Gnar went off. There just is not enough damage. Yanni, I want you to take a look at Silas' inventory. That guy does not have a legendary item available. He's digging through the bargain bin looking for some gold.
And just any sort of value that he can get, he'll take. Sure, Talia provides a lot of it. But right now, it's been Sword who has taken over this game. Bottom tier 1 now under siege by him. And with 6 grubs, his turret is going to melt, which means more gold into his pocket. 6,500. He's up nearly 2,000 on Asila.
Yeah, and a really good job from Winthrop to just target Asila, right? Ganks over the Raptor pit, multiple flash ultimates coming in onto him, and just making sure his life is a living hell. Yeah, they are going to get this tier 2 for free. 6 grubs, good rotation coming out from Winthrop here. Aatrox and Silas make mincemeat of this turret, and they split 800 gold
hang
on.
on.
They're going to go top lane.
All right, whose ultimate's he going to pull? He gets knocked up. He is going to pull the Rakan ultimate.
Take the turret down.
He charms too, but the problem is the numbers game. It's too much. The question is, can Sword escape? Look at Denethor on the backside. Silas going to flash away, but Sword manages to survive. Now only 35 in mobility. Looking to join the party. Mobility's ultimate lands, forcing flashes out and leaving Stray to die as Denethor on the side, knocking up 2. Silas says, sorry, Keel, I'm out of here, as he's able to escape. Rhino just got a charm, and he'll use Asila to hop away. But Ole Miss continue to bleed kills.
They just don't have any damage.
Don't tell me. Don't do it to him, Wilson.
No. Wilson might do it. He's looking for it.
I thought he was going to do it. If he did it, I was willing to call game over at that point. But Shogo does have both summoners up, so it would have been difficult. As Winthrop now head on to the Herald. It's only 35.
Wait.
They've bit off a little bit more than he could chew. He's forced to flash away. Rhino is here too. Only 35 is level 9 though. He gets knocked up. Shogo is here. They need to pick up the skill, and it needs to go onto one of their good members, and it does go to Shogo.
Herald does get picked up for relatively free
Sword?
Sword. I don't think he's in any danger. Is he?
No,
Kingslayer
he
is
is
still
in
available?
so much danger. He goes
He's
down.
dead!
Sure, you pick up the Herald, but all of a sudden, Winthrop University, they just... I don't know what to say, man. This was an ugly play out of them. However, Ezreal ultimate coming through. It's going to tag mobility. He's going to trade out a kill as Denethor is here. And now all of a sudden, Ole Miss are the ones who stayed a little too long as Rhino is able to hop away.
Tanky boys. I thought Sword was able to maybe live a little bit longer. I thought he had Kingslayer available. Yeah, only 35 in Sword getting caught out there for what should have been a relatively free Herald. A little bit of happy gaming. Those kills going on to both Ezreal and I believe Talia ended up picking up one here, but You can see the struggles from this Ole Miss composition. There's just not enough damage, right? The profile is not looking good. Sure, you've got a lot of CC, you've got a lot of lockdown, but I don't think you can win the game off of Ezreal Shogo alone. Sure, he got a pentakill last game, but no. It was a different story as the Syla.
Oh, Silas had some troubles, but he will be able to survive. Only 35. The European flavor of support. Knocked up, still alive, getting shields, stunning. He lived! He lived! Oh my god! He plays range support just like he plays tanks.
Life on the edge here. Sword's not done. He's looking for more.
Sword is always looking for more. He gets knocked up again. Shogo slowed as he's on the outskirts of Wilson's ultimate. But now they're going to send 5 strong to the top side, maybe looking for Keel. Denethor is here. Rift Herald getting dropped down, so now it's Winthrop looking to make the big play, forcing the ultimate out of Keel, but they're still going to go after him. He's just a tree. He has nowhere to go. He's really fast, but they chase him down all the same as the turret falls. Only 35 getting into the driver's seat here. Looking to get the second crash going on, and he goes right through the wall, and Asylum's on the wrong side of history as he can't even tear down the wall. It's too quick for Winthrop.
What a terrible wall! I get what he was trying to go for, but I think it was a little too late there, and they do get the crash down on top of Asylum going down.
Oh, Rhino!
Grasping at straws, Rhino!
And only 35 is right there, but Rhino able to at least get away for right now. He's got to cleanse himself. Stray surviving, but it just feels like the pressure is still on. Winthrop continue to stick the knife in the wounds and twist them around.
Oh, they're not just twisting it, Yanni. They're throwing alcohol, salt. They're absolutely making it unbearable for Ole Miss to play this game. They are just too damn tanky. They're too damn strong, and Ole Miss are down 8,000 gold at the 20-minute mark. This is a dominant performance from Winthrop overall. They've just traded game 1 and 2 back-to-back.
And you know what? We needed to see that out of Winthrop to show that, hey, this isn't going to be a day where they're going to roll over and die. We all know that happens sometimes. Sometimes teams come out in a big match and they're not able to get it done. They look all out of sorts that day. But no, these teams look like the teams that we've seen all season long. And Shibby, I am excited to see more games of League of Legends.
No mana.
Shogo has no mana. Shogo has no life left. And only 35 just on the side looking to send more pressure as Winthrop continue to dominate game 2.
All right, Winthrop going to pick up the Dragon. They'll probably take Otacon as well here. Both of these objectives on the bottom side of the map, and that's just how damning this new season is, right? One bad pick, one, mistake getting caught out, and it allows the other team to just scoop up everything on the map here. Very devastating, and the snowball, it's odd to call it, but the snowball that happens post 20 minutes when there are 3 objectives up, right? When there's potentially Baron to be taken, another Dragon, Otacon, like we said here, being taken. It just makes it that much harder to come back, and Ole Miss have a mountain to climb here, but I think Winthrop, for all intents and purposes, I'm not going to try to curse them, they should have this game wrapped up neatly.
Firmly in the driver's seat, we'd call that, Shibby. We know that sometimes things can go awry, right? Your passenger can go and pull on the wheel, and all of a sudden, maybe they're the ones in the driver's seat, but right now they're looking really good on the track home for this game. The last couple hours of the long road trip. They're out of the gas station right now as they just came back. They're fueled up. They're ready to put this one away. Sword up 2 levels onto Asila right now. Wilson is really not where he should be, and yet just takes no damage for it, right? Just unpunished are Winthrop.
Yeah, Merc Treads plus Heartsteel will do that to you. And it looks like Ole Miss are trying to go for something.
I like it. Maybe make a play happen. Good job there by Wilson to eat everything, but here comes Sword. Charms up the key carry. Shogo's got to run away. Close to getting stunned, but he'll survive for now. Mobility's going to hit him.
Oh!
He hit him with the ultimate. Wilson is still alive for now. Sword went a little too deep, but he still survives. He's CC locked, but he gets shields. Denethor's on the side, ready to end the worlds of Ole Miss as Stray will fall. Denethor wreaking havoc on the backside, finally forced away. Ends up being a 2-for-1, but the turrets are beginning to fall. Keel has no way out. He's got to use his flash.
Damage.
Down goes Rhino. Down goes goes Asila, down goes the inhibitor, and down goes Ole Miss in game 2 as Winthrop knot up the series at 1.
Heal is not enough. One tree cannot stand tall against the Winthrop Eagles, and they're going to come in. They're going to take this Nexus. They're going to give Keel another death. They're saying, buddy, you're going to go 0-7 whether you like it or not. And Shogo, wait a minute.
Shogo, these members are low. Mobility is hitting. The shields are there. No, they cannot finish. Only 35 will fall. Mobility has to escape quickly because there's hot pursuit for everybody else. Stray's going to flash forward. This could be the opening that Ole Miss needs, as that's a lot of gold that has just gone into Shogo's pockets.
No. Was that extra kill worth it? Winthrop, did you need to dive in for Keel to give Shogo that extra kill? Maybe it'll come and bite them in the rear. But as of right now, Yanni, top lane inhibitor has gone down. Nexus turrets have gone down, although they do respawn in this new season. Dragon still up on the menu for both of these teams. I'm surprised neither of these guys have made a significant push, specifically Winthrop for that Hextech Soul, which works so well with this mobility Varus, who's been quietly having a fantastic game, right? 10-2 on the poke Varus. Beautiful chains of corruptions, has landed them onto key targets. We talked about that early on. Can he land it onto Shogo? Can he land it onto Asila? Well, he's been doing his job, locking everybody down here. And Winthrop maybe getting a little too confident. Slow down. You've got the gold lead. You're 7,500 gold ahead. Ward up Baron and just figure out what you need to do, right? It's not too complicated. The game is in your hands. Do not throw it.
Ole Miss has answered the 10 count at 9 3/4, but they're on wobbly legs right now, Shibby. They are barely able to steady themselves as the Baron has spawned. They are out of the base and ready to go, but they do have a super wave pushing up on the top side. No wards, so you don't really have to worry about a teleport play. Keel getting hit by Wilson's ultimate, but cleansed away, and Denethor looking to teleport to the top side. Just looking to buy room for Winthrop to start up the Baron, because immediately Ole Miss had to peel off, and now they have to rebound and find their way in. Stray is on the bottom side. He's going to take this turret himself, but he's not going to have Meganar anymore. So the question is, are Ole Miss just going to let this go? Sword looking to play goalkeeper here. Denethor nearby as well. The Baron not exactly fast here. It's down to about 5,000 HP. But Ole Miss will walk away, and Winthrop will take their prize.
And because Ole Miss is kind of waddled around this Baron, right? They're not even able to trade the Dragon. They get a tier 1 in the bottom side, which is nice, right? It was objective bounty gold, but realistically, Winthrop, good TP from Denethor, good goalkeeping, like you said, from the solo laners, allows Winthrop to pick up this Baron, and they should just be able to walk it into this Nexus.
Keel is behind the squad, so maybe he's going to drop his ultimate down. Asila going to use his wall to try to allow time for Heal to get to the base. Engaged on by Sword, but Sword is A-okay with that. Getting good damage out. Meanwhile, Denethor on the top side, again, pressing on this wound in the base of Winthrop. The Nexus turrets have already respawned, right? Is that right? Yes, they have. All right. That was... Damn, that was quick. That was really 3 minutes ago.
Fast.
Man, Nexus turrets are so fake this season. The turret will fall. Sword, once again, with the Maokai ultimate, ready to make a play as the middle inhibitor has fallen. God, this trips me out because we can't see the health bars on them when they respawn. But they are up and they are targetable. Make no mistake about it. They are T-posing. A wave coming into the bottom side for Winthrop. It's a little far away, so we're going to drop the ultimate down.
Sword.
They're just going to trade Maokai ultimates. Rhino getting to the back line. Charms knocks up 3. He's taking care of 4, and he's able to slide out. Keel is still alive for now. It just buys time. But Wilson looking to lead the charge. Shogo does a lot of damage, but the shielding is there. The first turret will go down. Shogo is so low. He's got to shift away from a minion. As the health bars are a little low on the side of Winthrop, but they need Shogo to heal up and get back into the fight. He's at half HP right now. Sword has the Gnar ultimate. Stray going in, but everybody spreads away, and Stray will go down, and that should do it with the Nexus exposed. Rhino trying to do what he can. Shogo fighting from the fountain steps, but it's just too much for them to handle. The Nexus will fall, and finally Winthrop will win game 2.
28 minutes, nearly 27 minutes, 45 seconds. The game ends here. Winthrop trading blow for blow. Like you said, Ole Miss answered the 10 count at 9 3/4. All it took was one little jab, and Winthrop take game 2. Very well played. And this is the series we expected from these guys. It's 1-1 apiece right now. No clean 3-0s. My curse has been lifted because every best of 5 I've casted this year has been a 3-0, Yanni. I dare say we might be going to a game 5. I know it's early. It's 1-1, but I feel like we might be going to a game 5 the way this series is shaping up here. Very well played from Winthrop. And I love the fact that they said, you know what? Despite Sword having a lackluster Azir game, let's put some more resources into him. Let's put him on Sylas. Let's bully Asila in this mid lane. And he performed perfectly, did his job. A bevy of ultimates that we talked about. The Maokai ultimate, the Rakan ultimate, had very good usage when yoinking those away. All the meanwhile mobility, having a quietly good game. I think he ended up with 10 plus kills on that poke Varus. Just a really good team composition from Winthrop here. And now Ole Miss has to answer. Are they willing to ban the Sylas away? Winthrop have already banned Keel Skarner. Because we're not in Fearless, we could see a lot of these same champions pop up again. I expect the size to swap, though.
I would agree with that, Shibby. They put the ball in the hands of Sword, and I want you to take a look down at your hand, Shibby, because I believe we may have a series on them. We are ready to go to break, and we will when we return. We'll kick it to the Game 3 draft between Winthrop and Ole Miss. Go grab a snack, and then come right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the NECC Collegiate League of Legends lower finals between Ole Miss and Winthrop. And after a game one dominated by Ole Miss, Winthrop out the gate looked just as dominant. Ole Miss fought back a little bit, but ultimately Winthrop was able to slam the door on them in very similar fashion. So we've had two games, not exactly close here, Shibby, especially after the way the early games have gone. Both these teams really need to nail down their early games as we head into the Game 3 draft. What are you hoping to see out of both of these sides?
Well, I'm expecting the sides to swap, which is what we talked about on the blue side.
They did.
Winthrop on the red side. We might see 100% blue side win rate in this series.
I hope not.
If that's what happens, then unfortunately that goes into the favor of Ole Miss. As you talked about what I hope to see. Well, I think there are some problems, one of them being the Sejuani, which enables a lot of what Winthrop wants to do. Sword, avid, melee mid lane enjoyer, right? Silas, obviously you just saw, has been a Galio player for a very long time, has busted out the Zed as recently as last week.
I want to see
the guy is just, the guy is just insane, right? So also plays into Denethor's champion pool, which is a lot of those melee carries. So taking that Sejuani away, I think removes the enable potential from Winthrop, but that doesn't remove Winthrop's ability to pick on mid lane. Asila, when he's on some of these more immobile champions, let's call it something like the Talia, you tend to see where the enemy team gravitates towards. So maybe we'll see an Ahri picked up from him early on in this first rotation if Winthrop do not ban it out, because they do kind of have to leave Nefiri and Gwen banned. Last time they left Gwen up, I actually don't think it was that big of an issue for Denethor specifically, but I just think Gwen is always an issue on the map, right? It's not that Denethor has to deal with the 1v1, it's that they have to deal with Gwen in a team fight where she can kind of just rip through your whole team here. But it looks like Ole Miss are banning that Varus away. That was banned last series against Winthrop, rightfully so. Ole Miss said they opened it up once again, and they're like, never mind, Mobility's not allowed to have that.
Just slam Skarner here.
If I'm Ole Miss, I take Skarner.
Yeah, slam Skarner, force Winthrop to pick Ahri, and if they don't, you just pick the Ahri too. There is some fear with that, right? As we see, Rumble is going to get locked in. First time he's actually been available this series, I believe. So we're going to go first pick Rumble here for Stray. And we'll see what the options are going to be for Winthrop. Typically, your range champions aren't going to do a whole lot. We are going to see the Skarner come through. This time around, it's going to go into Wilson's hands.
Yeah, I was maybe thinking they would try to take the Ahri Viego away, but yeah, they're going to remove the Skarner off the table. Now it's a question of where they're going to pick this mid lane, and this could go either, right? It can go into Sword's hand, it can go into Denethor's hand. Typically, we've seen the Aurora picked as a counter matchup or a matchup into the Rumble here. Stray has tons of experience playing into the Aurora. I'm not surprised.
There we go.
But we do see the Viego, and this hints to me that we are going to see Viego Ahri here, and they can just layer that on top with another reset champion that is available, that is very comfortable in Shogo's wheelhouse, but instead they opt in for the Misfortune. Does Winthrop not just ban out Ahri entirely here on second rotation?
Yeah, I do like this Misfortune pick here because I think you would have put yourself in a scenario where Silas would have been a very live pick for Winthrop to put Sword back on it. Sure, you would have had double AP solo lanes, but if you're taking a look at a Rumble and you're taking a look at an Ahri, like Silas not only has a favorable mid lane matchup, but later on will be able to do a whole lot. We're going to get a Rel here for secondary engage over to the side of Winthrop and still leaving up the flex potential for this Aurora. I don't think we've really seen Denethor play Aurora yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I've seen a game of him playing it, so I would be really interested to see him on it. What I would think would be one of the first times. It's not really his style, but also really wasn't Stray's style when Ole Miss played it last time around. Braum and Silas, not surprisingly, going banned in the second half.
Yeah, and that Silas being removed here. kind of indicates that Ole Miss want to cheat towards that Ari. Really good drafting from Ole Miss, right? Kind of anticipated like, hey, we're going to slam the Misfortune, and if you don't take out some of these power picks that we can match up with it, the Maokai, the Braum, the Rise being removed, another kind of short-range mid laner that Sword likes to play, especially with how Winthrop functions with that Rise. I mean, it's a composition that they've played for such a long time where they just teleport and overload onto a side lane here, but instead Tristana being picked up. Tristana Rel, really good mobility and only 35 on 2 champions that they can have a ton of carry potential on here. But now I'm looking at Ole Miss. Surely they just take the Alistar into the Rel, right? I feel like it's such a good pick, especially as well into the Skarner, who can get headbutted away. I feel like this is a Alistar angle for Rhino.
It would make sense here, especially with what Ole Miss is lacking right now. You'd like to see something a little bit better set up for Misfortune. You don't really have that for Shogo, as it will be a pickup of the Alistar here. This goes with the Silas ban as well, so we'll see what the final pick is here. You know, Denethor, maybe if he wants this Camille, if he sees that the angle looks good, you could put Sword on this Aurora, but it looks like it will be Ari, the selection here, going over to Sword. One a little bit more pick potential coming out for your team in Winthrop. I really like the team they've put together. I like it much more than Ole Miss's team. What say you?
You know, it's interesting because Winthrop have kind of crafted themselves a pseudo reset composition for themselves, right? Tristana and Ari can keep hopping around, can keep dashing through. Ole Miss don't have a ton of lockdown as well, right? It really is just Rhino. Asila has been absolutely money on Syndra, though. I mean, this guy's probably one of, if not his best champion right now in my mind. The scatter the weeks he finds, the angles he finds for a lot of these stuns. Yeah, granted, it is an immobile mid laner, but it's arguably his best immobile mid laner out of his champions that he plays here. Really interesting to Keel on a carry-orientated pick. He has gravitated towards that a little bit towards this season, right? With the Zyro, we've seen him play. So I'm not completely surprised, but it is very dependent on how much they can get done against Sword on this Ari, right? Shogo Rhino should be completely fine. I mean, Tristana will eventually outscale just because of his range advantage. Mobility is going to have... level 18, he's just going to be able to hit you from a mile away. Only 35 on an engaged champion like Rel. Like you said, he plays every champion like a melee character. It's going to be tough because Rhino's going to be ready on those headbutts, ready to kind of stop that engage here. But I like Winthrop's composition, right? Denethor on this Aurora can get a lot of sneaky angles. If you can get that stadium, that pit down, the between two worlds, onto someone like Shogo, onto someone like Rumble, there's not a whole lot Ole Miss can do when Ari dashes in, when Tristana jumps in, and they just start resetting and killing people onto the map. It is very devastating. The first kill will be so important for Winthrop in these fights.
It'll be so important for either team, right? Because that's going to determine who's going to get their reset comp off first. Typically, the team that is able to do that is the team that is able to win the fight, depending on who you kill, right? Keel obviously going to get a lot of value out of some of these champions, but maybe not so much out of others, right? You know, Aurora, a little bit hard to actually do things when you've taken her over, but you know, the Skarner, the Ari, the Tristana, the Rel, you're going to have these abilities that are able to elongate the fights and get more resets. As we've made it onto Summoner's Rift for Game 3 of this Best of 5 series, the winner will be on match point. The winner of the series looking to take on Fisher for the automatic bid into the CLOL Championship.
I know, Fisher awaiting their opponent. A king in their chair, we'll call it, as of right now. But yeah, I don't think any of us, any of the CLOL Hub, any of the people that have been paying attention to CLOL expected both of these teams to duke it out in the lower finals here. Fisher did a good job taking that 3-2 series over Ole Miss and catching Ole Miss on a downswing, right? Not to downplay what Fisher did, because they did play a really good series. Waena specifically just kind of had Asila's number throughout that series, but Ole Miss coming off of an 0-2 week last week, right, in NACL. They lose to Fisher. They bounce back this week with a win against AMI. And they're looking to keep that momentum going. While on Winthrop's side, a little bit of a different story, right? They lost to AMI. They dropped a game to Pulse, even though they beat them. Has been arguably one of their weaker weeks. We'll talk it.
Yeah, it hasn't been terrible, but definitely a little weaker, right? So this is going to be a good litmus test to see where they're at as a team, right? And you know how a loss will affect both of these teams for really uh, the rest of the year for their competitive year, I should say, because if you lose this series, you're going to feel pretty bad about it going into your NACL weeks, and if that carries over, Shibby, and you begin to struggle in these NACL weeks heavily, then all of a sudden it carries into CLOL Championship, and then you're looking at a cascade of really bad results that could negatively affect your mental. So we'll see how even keel both these teams could be. I think Winthrop is a team that is a little bit more mentally strong than a team like Ole Miss, but Ole Miss, their toughness has really shined through on display this week.
Yeah, mental fortitude, pretty much half the battle in a lot of these matches, right? Especially when you're going up against a rival of yours, right? Somebody that's your direct competitor on how you place in CLOL, how well you do, what your bracket looks like. It's all too important to win some of these marquee matchups here. And right now, both of these teams just kind of taking it a little slow. Pathing has not been unorthodox from either of these guys. Keel, as we talked about last game, had some really diabolical pathing on the Maokai, was able to get that early kill onto Denethor. No sort of shenanigans here. Is kind of both of these teams, specifically Keel, wants to power farm to level 6. I feel like Viego, one of those champions that doesn't really start to pop off until he gets his ultimate available. Wilson, much more inclined to get things done early, especially with his ability to burrow through walls and take those unorthodox gank angles. Looking to have a similar, if not better, performance than Keel in Game 1 on the Skarner.
One thing that we haven't talked about, especially coming out of Keel, is that we've seen a couple of times with teams, especially at the collegiate level, go into this Viego and then not really be able to do anything with it, right? It just kind of farms up, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, guys, I'm really farmed, but I don't have any kills, any assists. You have some setup here, but not really a ton, right? If you're going to gank this bot lane, it's Rhino needing to engage, and you need to follow up with a nice stun, or sometimes you'll have to go in first because Winthrop will be a little bit aware of what's going on. But like this top lane, the only CC is coming out from Keel. See what Rhino's going to do here. Not Rhino, Denethor, I'm sorry. As he goes in deep, he does not kill straight, but he ends up dying to Keel for first blood. All right, question's been answered, Shibby.
I like that look from Denethor as Wilson says, I got one for you.
Wait, mobility and flash forward to get behind Shogo. He got stunned for a minute. Shogo's barrier is there. Rhino, is he able to escape? Mobility wants this one. The last auto's not enough. Only 35 goes deep for it, but he dies to Shogo. It's not worth it, yes.
TP's coming in on the top side. Maybe there's a gank coming in. They're looking to potentially dive Shogo. Wilson's in a lot of trouble. This TP, though.
All right, Asila, let's see what you can do. He's going to flash and land the scatter of the week. Mobility has been deemed weak as Wilson's got to cruise back into his jungle. Good TP.
And Keel's here once again. Wilson, brother, get out!
Oh, hang on. He's forced to flash away, too. If he had gotten stunned there, Asila surely would have been able to follow up. But now Asila taking a really disrespectful route here. He's going to get slowed up. Flash Charm is there. He knocks 2 away, but only 35 is here. It's a 3v3. Big knockup coming through from Rhino as Wilson will burn to the Ignite. Rhino gets that kill. Sword's got to get away, but he gets caught by Keel, too. And Ole Miss just laying a flurry of blows early.
And Ole Miss coming in, punch after punch, blow after blow, and I know that looks like Keel on the Skarner is 2-0, but no, that's Viego right now. And you talked about, you see a lot of the time at this level, Viego's just farm up. They don't got a lot of kills. They don't get a lot of assists. Well, Yanni, the question's been answered. 2-0-1 right now. He's primed to carry this game. And all the meanwhile, Shogo has picked up 2 kills on the back end, right? That dive from only 35 to confirm the kill onto Rhino, and that scatter the week that Asila landed, it actually allowed Shogo to hit Mobility with an auto and get a kill here. He's already at BF Sword at 5 or 6 minutes into the game. This lane is nigh unplayable for Mobility in only 35.
It's so hard. Stray taken really low.
Oh, goodbye, sir.
Yeah, they're going to just send everybody up top to make a play on the Stray. He's going to drop the equalizer to clear the wave there, make it harder for Winthrop to get more value.
I like that look from Winthrop to dive this top lane. Again, these HP trades have been pretty much Denethor favored for most of the part, but Keel, there are a lot of members here. I don't think you can do much other than pick up those turrets. So I like that look. 2,000 gold lead for Ole Miss at the 6.5-minute mark. Dragon is up, but it's a Cloud Dragon. They looked at it and said, ew, I want nothing to do with that dragon.
Yeah, and at this point, why not? why not, right? Because you're so far ahead with Shogo here. You're seeing the back coming through, so you have an opportunity to really shove this wave in. Mobility's not going to be able to catch it either. It's going to take a long time for him to actually get here. Rhino going to help clear this out. It's just a question of if only 35 is going to be able to hold the wave for his AD carry. It looks like he will with no disruption here. Just, I must say, a little bit of a surprise. Shogo is level 6, though, so he will just drop his ultimate on the wave, shred it, miss a couple on the back end, but allow a back timer for him to.
Now, Rhino not willing to stop his back to stop only 35 from catching that wave. So mobility, like you said, picks up majority of the minions, but that allows Keel to take these grubs pretty much uninterrupted right now. That roam from Rhino as well provides him a lot of safety. Because only 35 stayed to catch that wave, they get first move on grubs. So really well played from Ole Miss. I like that look. And just dropping that ultimate coming down from Misfortune. By the time Shogo gets back to lane, it'll be pretty much 50% of its cooldown will be up. So he'll have it for any of these fights that are coming up right now. And right now, early game, looking Ole Miss dominant, but it's not that Winthrop are out of it by any means, right? Wilson is going to be cresting upon level 6. Sword has just hit level 7 here, can look to make plays onto the map. And Denethor, once again, I would argue has been having a pretty good laning phase into Rumble, all things considered. That dive helping him out a lot. Has picked up that lost chapter, can just lock Stray in lane indefinitely.
Yeah, but you know what? That's fine, right? Like, this is a very favorable lane for Aurora, and yet you're down 10 CS. You're both 0-1-1. Like, this is largely fine for Ole Miss, especially because they're winning everywhere else. Sure, Denethor is going to have some strength, but he's not going to be super strong. And as long as he's not going crazy, I think Ole Miss is pretty happy with the result. Team's deciding, no, we do not want this dragon. Missed it a little bit earlier, but Ole Miss did pick up grubs. Be really able to utilize grubs that well, save for the Tristana, as Wilson is forced out once again. Keel has been all over him.
I mean, Wilson's got a crystalline bracer, man. That guy is he has no gold right now, right? Compared to what is a Sheen, a Phage from Keel. I mean, this guy can just kind of walk in and absolutely dominate this corner right now. And that dragon finally being taken at the 9-minute mark. So we're going to see a late dragon slow, whatever it is, as we flash over to the gold. Top lane, small lead for Denethor. Jungle, a big lead for him as ultimate does get dropped. Stray, flash available. Is he going to flash Flame Spitter?
Let's see. Wilson is headed up to the top side. Stray getting slowed as Denethor just trying to play at range. Stray is very, very low. The minions are dying. I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of this one. He shields himself up. He's in the danger zone as Wilson is tanking up a little bit too much here. Wow! Stray outplays it.
Saves the flash for the flash taser onto Wilson. Beautiful play from Stray there. Completely outplays. I'll call it a dive because Denethor wasn't really involved in that play after getting ulted on and just kind of dropping his between two worlds. Maybe he thought that Wilson was able to get it, but he's not too tanky, right? He just had that crystalline bracer we talked about. Doesn't give too much help. And a disaster from Winthrop on attacking that top side. A kill going over into Stray's hands allows him to pick up the Haunting guys. And this second set of grubs that's going to be spawning pretty soon, that's all Ole Miss.
You can tell the Winthrop team dynamic is just a little bit different when Denethor is not on one of these melee carry champions, right? He can play the tanks, he can play the carries, and I have no doubt that he can play this Aurora very well, but you just see a dive like that and just go so poorly is something you rarely see out of the Winthrop top side, right? And that's what you lose out on when you put him on a champion like Aurora. Again, playing just fine himself, but that's a dive you expect him to execute 10 times out of 10. Speaking of dives, Sword is caught under the turret right now. He's fine for right now. He does have his ultimate.
He's TPing.
Keel is gonna flash on him. What?
That was probably his only way out, is how he felt like it, but he drops the TP.
He lost everything.
Yeah, you lose TP, you lose your life as well. I mean, you lose all agency on that top side. Winthrop, a couple of head scratcher plays from back to back, right? Wilson on that dive, Sword on that top side. I mean, we talked about this team just being one of the better teams, can show you that they can beat anybody on the day, but then they can just have moments like this, moments of collapse, right? I mean, if you saw game 2, if you just tuned in, you'd be like, oh man, Wilson and Sword, fantastic game from both of these guys. And now they're playing like this. It just shows the dichotomy of these two players.
Yeah, I think Sword's been okay. It's kind of been hard for him to play this game, but Wilson has really struggled a lot. And I mean, it's just because Keel and Asila have been really, really good. Asila, I want to give him his props so far this game because, you know, while he doesn't have a ton of kills, he's been making good plays. Now we're looking for a TP. It's a 5v2 for right now, but all of a sudden a couple members have shown up. Rhino with a big knock up there. Keel going to get engaged on. The Impale goes on to one.
Oh, look at this.
But there is the ultimate out of the misfortune. Stray burning through multiple members as Sword is low. Mobility gets knocked up, and he's going to fall. It's a double kill for Shogo. His bullet time went crazy. Denethor's got to flash away, but you know they want more. Sword just on about 150 HP. Asila gonna flash after him, forcing the flash out of Sword. And Denethor is caught in no man's land. And Shogo picks up his 5th kill.
And Denethor trying to go for that kill onto Rhino, try to make it a 1-for-1 at best here. But a beautiful bullet time coming out from Shogo. And you see, that's the way you need to use bullet time. That's how you're supposed to use it when Winthrop commits a lot of their engage. When you see the Magnet Storm, when you see Wilson diving in and they've committed so deep, you throw that bullet time on top of them, and once all their mobility has been used, they just have to sit there and eat a ton of damage. Very well played. Good hold from Shogo and a good team fight overall from Ole Miss. Are we going to go stomp for stomp for stomp? Back to back to back?
It's looking like it, Shivy. I mean, Winthrop was like, hell yeah, this is a 5v2, and then it's like, this is actually a 5v4. Okay, now it's actually a 5v5. Now you're dead, right? That's exactly what ended up happening as Ole Miss have secured 6 grubs. Again, nothing crazy, but you're happy to have it after you're winning these fights. Sending 3 people to go shove a turret, why not? Shogo and Asila and Rhino chilling in the mid lane here. Looking to bust down this turret, bust this game wide open. Wilson looking to come through, but he saw a couple of very angry members of Ole Miss and peeled out quickly.
I like the look, but unfortunately, Winthrop not nearing any of their legendary item completions, right? Ari's still sitting on Roa components, a very late Roa at best, right? 14 minutes into the game. It's not going to have that online potentially up until 24, 25-minute mark. You look on the other side, Ole Miss, pretty much everybody on their first item inching towards that second item there is Shogo. Bloodthirster picked up. We'll see if he ends up going IE. And this dragon should just be Ole Miss's, right? I feel like Winthrop can't really contest this right now.
Yeah, their scaling isn't that great either, so they're running into some problems here, right? Obviously, mobility can do some things as the game goes on, but I mean, he's just level 8 right now. He's 2 levels behind Shogo. He's 2 levels behind all of the key members of Ole Miss, essentially. He is so weak right now. And if you're bleeding these objectives over, right, this allows time for Shogo to have just auto-attack this turret with 6 grubs. This is a problem for Winthrop, and they need to find answers fast.
Yeah, they're also bleeding gold in the top side, right? Look at that top lane. It's Ole Miss favored right now. They're going to lose waves. They're going to drop waves here just for this dragon. Winthrop is giving up gold on the map and not doing anything about it.
Yep, that bottom turret had gone down. The dragon down to about 2,000 HP. Rhino over on the backside. Wilson wants to get in. Dragon goes to Ole Miss. Wilson trying to skate on in. He's on top of Keel. He finds 2 on the suppression, but another good bullet time. They're going to end up trading 1-for-1 here, but look at Stray on the backline. Mobility's got to ult him away, but Stray is overheating, doing so much damage right now with his autos. Shogo finally caught up. Denethor's got to use Between Worlds to try to survive, and meanwhile, Sword on the backside's got to deal with Keel, but he can't do so as he falls. It ends up being a 3-for-1 for Ole Miss, and they took the objective.
They took the dragon. They're going to take mid lane tier 1. Mind you, they already took bot lane tier 1 during that whole kerfuffle, the dancing that was happening. They are just taking objectives onto the map here. There's so much gold swinging into the favor of Ole Miss, right? It was, what, 2,000 roughly at the 10-minute mark? We've jumped over to 16 minutes, and it is a 7,000 gold lead for Ole Miss here. I mean, this is tough here. Only 35 can just watch and try to stop this back from Shogo, but it's just not enough. I mean, Ole Miss are looking very likely to take this game as Rift Herald has spawned here, and they've got control over that too. Struggler, Asila hitting a massive scatter of the week. I told you, man, this guy's Syndra's one of a kind.
He is quite good on it. He's having a great game for himself. You know, not taking too many shots, but certainly dishing the rock around to his team, setting up for these plays And this has been the most dominant game of the series so far. Shibby, you talked about nearly a 7,000 gold lead. We're not even at 17 minutes into the game. The Rift Herald is going to be a taken here, it looks like. I don't know if Windrop are going to be able to put up a fight. Stray does have teleport available. They know this is going on. Wilson wants to get in there, but it just can't. Well, this means it's going to be more gold going over to Ole Miss. They have 6 grubs, so Twitch chat's going to come out to play when they slam it into a turret. If somebody rides it in, it'll be a very bad time. The show goes on 2.5 items, right? He is undoubtedly the strongest member of the game. 7-0-2. When you're 7-0 in Misfortune, you don't tend to lose games too much unless your name is Mobility.
Damn, what a shot.
I mean, it happened. I have to talk about it. You know, all respect to Mobility, but it did happen last time. I have to talk about it.
Played a good game individually, right? Just
without a doubt. It was not his fault.
No,
It's just 80 carries in 2025. Keel just deciding to turn on to Denethor. That's a little scary, man. You don't want to throw something away here. Yeah, but like, you know, enemy team was there. It's a bad time. Keel is going to ride Shelly into the turret. Here comes Twitch chat out to play, doing everything they can to knock this turret down. If Shelly can get a second crash, that would be good. Rhino gets onto the back line. He's going to punt in only 35, and then he gets scattered immediately. Keel looking for the second charge. Wilson trying to get there, and he will smite it. Big save, but his ultimate whiffs, and the bullet time shreds him. As Sword's got to ult away, and the equalizer's dropped on his head, and Ole Miss said, we want to end this before 20 minutes. We have 6 grubs.
No way.
We have ways to end the game. The death timers are kind of long at this point, right? Only 35 is going to be up shortly.
There's no way to end this.
They have a big wave in. It's only the bot lane of Winthrop to try to stop him. Ultimate coming in from only 35. Big stuns are there, but they hop on top of Mobility, and he goes down.
Surely not.
There is no way that this game is going to be over before 20 minutes.
Surely not.
They're knocking down the second Nexus turret. Ole Miss, they look at game 2, and they tell Winthrop, you can shove it. And they take the game in 1852.
Hello? Hello? Ring. Otacon's waiting at the door. He didn't even spawn. 19-minute victory for Ole Miss.
Holy crap, dude. God, I wish I didn't use my one curse word earlier, because my God, this is the single most dominant Ole Miss game I have seen in my life. Holy moly. They were pissed.
I'm speechless. I really didn't think that was going to happen. When was the last time that you have seen a sub 20-minute win this season? Baron spawns at 25 minutes, buddy. Otacon spawns at 20.
Baron's still on his way home from work. Like,
Baron's caught in traffic. The wife's yelling at him on the phone. Where are you? The kids are a mess.
Meanwhile, Otacon's ready to clock in for a shift, and they're like, it's a slow day, man. Go home. Like,
you're off the schedule. It's a free day. We're low census.
You're off the schedule, man. Well, just like Otacon, it looks like we're going to take a break. And when we return, Game 4 draft, Winthrop. Listen, after that first game, they were able to fight back. They're going to need to do it even more going into Game 4. We will see you soon. back, everybody, to the NECC Collegiate League of Legends lower bracket finals between Ole Miss and Winthrop. And in Game 3, Ole Miss struck first, smelled blood in the water, and the Land Sharks kept going and going and going. And they ate up Winthrop until there was nothing left in record time. 18 minutes and 54 seconds. Shibby, I don't think we've seen such domination in the collegiate space in a long time. And when you typically see it, it's a high-ranked team facing an unranked team, or maybe a club program. You never expect that out of your 4th and 5th ranked teams in the nation.
Yeah, usually you see this when it's Maryville versus like a majority of their competition in the North, right?
Remember the I told my team that if we could survive 30 minutes total over 2 games, we'll go get ice cream, right? And the Odd Orange said, "Oh, that's nice," and then proceeded to absolutely destroy them sub 30 minutes, right? Like,
yeah,
that's typically what you expect. 1854, Winthrop.
What do you
even say?
Top 5.
You said in the break. What do you even say?
I mean, I think you just move past it. I think you just say, hey, we made a couple catastrophic mistakes in the early game. Couple whoopsies, oopsies. You're sleeping on the wheel. I don't think that's a game you can really look at and go, all right, guys, let's break it down. Like, you just chain into it a little bit. Ole Miss did a really good job, like, kind of having your number. There are, like we said, catastrophic mistakes, right? I think we can look at the Wilson top dive specifically, where he gave a kill over to Stray. We can look at that TP play from Sword, who tried to TP out and died, right? There was that dragon fight, that grub fight that happened. Couple really bad fights and a couple, catastrophic mistakes that just allowed Ole Miss to snowball. With 6 grubs on top of, I believe Keel had taken over multiple characters. I think he ended up taking over the Tristana at one point. I think that's why they were able to like push so cleanly, because they had Tristana, Misfortune, plus 6 scrubs. Like, they were just able to end it. I'm very shocked that happened. But like, yeah, you can't do anything about that, right? And I think it's best if Winthrop, we're probably going to see a side swap here. Again, we might see blue side have a 100% win rate potentially if this ends up going to game 5 here. But sides have swapped. I think taking the Skarner away was not the move. Wilson just did not look comfortable on it, or just didn't really know what to do. I don't put that on like Denethor's shoulders. I don't put that on Sword's shoulder, especially because I don't think Sword needed to pick the Ahri. Once that Syndra was locked in, I think he had a bevy of other options to pick up. They're going to ban the Rumble away as well. Yeah, I think just take Skarner off the table. You don't need to pick it. Just take it away. Just ban it away from Keel. Pick something that you can go on. Maybe go for a more advantageous jungle matchup. Put Wilson on a carry. Potentially something like the Zyra. Again, we're on live patch, so Brand is still available. I think there's a lot left in the tank for Winthrop, but I want to see them actually go in and use those strategies that they're potentially saving for grand finals, because this is potentially your last game, man. Like, just let it out. Who cares? Do not save strats for Fisher waiting in grand finals. You have to get past Ole Miss first.
Yeah, this looks like a game where we could see Wilson maybe get placed on that Ivern, right, and have some
potentially
have some potential to buff up Denethor's sword and mobility. It's something that he has been quite good at in the past, so wouldn't be too surprised to see it here. Jace getting taken away as well. We're seeing a lot of top laners banned in this series, really. And I have to say, I feel like Stray overall has finally started to hit his stride a little bit with Ole Miss. Last year when he came on, people thought it was largely a disappointment. And even early on in this year, people were like, maybe he's not the guy we thought he was. He's not the guy who went to MSI. He's not that guy anymore. But he showed in the series that, and over the course of the season so far, that he still is, and he can still make that happen. Corki banned Sejuani. No surprise there, getting taken away. Let's see what Winthrop do for pick 1.
Neferi.
We're going to go away. There's going to be no Ivern. We are going to let the dogs out for Wilson.
Hello? 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 These are the dogs calling. The dogs are... The dogs have been let out. The dogs have been let out. Wilson has locked in.
How are you going to say the dogs have been let out when you've got a sock on?
All right, definitely not. You don't get feet for free. Nobody gets feet for free. Come on, not even the NECC. That's not happening.
That's wild. That's wild. All right.
I was contemplating it.
Varus and Viego going to be locked in for Ole Miss. And again, this is good early power that you get out of the Varus, plus this Viego that, if you get the ball rolling, will be incredibly strong. So Ole Miss looking to centerpiece around Keel once again. This time around, the Syndra take it away, though, because they know Asila put in some serious work last time, and they're going to lock Misfortune or Winthrop. So a bit of a, I see your comp that you put over here, Ole Miss. We're going to take it for ourselves.
Yeah, really good takeaways. I think, again, mobility on that Misfortune, had a really fantastic game prior, like has had good games on the Misfortune. The losses, in my opinion, like you said, have just not been on his shoulders. But that does leave up the Braum, which is a very good pick into both Syndra and Misfortune here. The bullet time being blocked out, the scout of the week, the unleashed power. I mean, this is a slam dunk Braum pick here, and it'll be interesting to see what Winthrop can take here. The Varus as well. Keel's back on that Viego. If it ain't broke, don't fix it here. But it's going to be a lot harder because I feel like Wilson on this Neferi can outduel Viego very consistently. If they meet up in the top side in a 2v2 or they meet up in the jungle, we just saw Wilson have a dominant performance on this Neferi in the NACL. I'm confident he can bring a lot of that into this game 4 here. I like that they're shifting some of that carry potential onto Wilson, who has shown he can get it done if the resources are provided to him.
Yeah, I like that too, and I like that Sword is going to be there to help him out while also providing damage for himself. Jackson to be taken away, and then they're going to focus down Asila's utility pool. Lissandra and Ari gone, so he's going to have to play something else to help Keel out. I really like that because I think you have a really strong mid-jungle duo over on the side of Winthrop, and I think that Viego and Oriana, which is what I expected, are a little bit weaker, but this will make Ole Miss stronger when it comes to team fights. The Varus ultimate, Braum disruption. You don't need to hit 5-man shockwaves. 2-man shockwaves will get the job done, Asila. That's all you have to do. Is Bard will be the lock-in here. Pairs well with Misfortune.
It can, yeah, it can, as long as you don't anti-synergy, right? Bard ultimate and Misfortune ultimate. I also like it because it's a good pick into the immobile laners of both Varus and Oriana. There's a lot of good pick potential here, right? Only 35 can start a lot of these fights out. And there is the Denethor Cassante.
65% win rate Denethor on that Cassante, by the way.
And the Ambessa gets locked in for Stray, a champion that has snuck past the draft pretty consistently. This is going to be piloted into Stray's hand here. Very different compositions coming out from both of these guys, right? Team fight heavy on the side of Ole Miss. I think the Viego and Oriana, they have a good ball delivery system. Stray as well, if he lands an Ambessa ult onto somebody in the backline, has a solid ball delivery system. We've seen it happen consistently in other leagues. But Winthrop, I think, have a very sneaky composition for themselves here. And Wilson, a known fan of not taking the flash, has opted in for the ignite. I mean, Keel's got to be on point with his pathing, and he has to make sure he does not find Wilson in his jungle.
And if you catch Wilson, shouldn't be that difficult to kill him. Obviously, we know Neferi can get that couple of moments of untargetability, but if he cannot escape from there without the flash, he will go down easily. Game 4 of this best-of-5 series. Ole Miss just absolutely pounding Winthrop in Game 3. It's Winthrop's time. They've gone with a composition that seems to suit them very well. Denethor on his patented Cassante, who he's done very, very well on in the past. We'll see if Stray's Ambessa will be too much for them to handle. The top laners and their impact are going to be so important this game.
Yeah, this takeaway. I trust Asila has played this matchup a million times before. I mean, it's Oriana and Syndra, right? One of the most classical mid lane matchups throughout League of Legends history. But Rhino on this Braum could just be the difference maker, right? There could be a lot of fights where it looks like Winthrop's going to win, but once he puts that shield up, once he throws that door up, it can deny so much damage from Winthrop, so they've got to be ever cognizant of that cooldown if they want to take some of these fights away. And 2-1, Ole Miss's favor right now. One more game for Ole Miss, and they get their rematch with Fisher. Winthrop on their last life right now. They're trying to take this to a Game 5, and we talked about them. I talked about them not saving any strats. Well, the Bard is not a strat saver, right? This is a pick that you prepare, you talk about in scrims, you practice, and they feel like this is the way to do it. Onto the Varus, onto the Oriana, two very immobile champions. A lot of good pick potential. I'm looking for only 35 into some of these later fights, into some of these roams to make things happen onto the map. And I feel like Asyla is going to be the apple of only 35's eye.
Gonna have to be, right? This is a guy that has shown, even on the Orianna, he can get exposed. We saw it against Fisher. It was a winning effort. His team played very well, and he really locked it in. But early on, he was a big liability. Sword is able to set up well on him with Wilson. There will be kills to be had in the mid lane. As Ole Miss looking to be able to fight to defend their title. They won the NECC last year. A really big win for a program that still relatively young with their strength. As only 35 has to flash away after getting tagged by Rhino. Now he gets stunned anyway and ignited. Shogo is going to keep going after him.
You're dead, buddy.
Only 35 is in trouble. He's got the heal available, but the heal cut was too much for him to handle. It's first blood going over to Shogo. Mobility has to flash away too, as Rhino almost landed the Winter's Bite.
That's just a catastrophic brain fart from only 35 there. Flashes away so he doesn't get stunned by the Winter's Bite. Comes back in because they were winning that trade, right? After he flashed out, Mobility was just hammering autos away, but didn't realize that he still had that passive going. That last auto hits, and yeah, Shogo and Rhino immediately capitalize on that misplay. They do a damn good job of killing only 35 there. That's tough. That's a really tough lane. And that just made it that much harder for Winthrop.
The good news for Winthrop is you don't exactly expect Shogo to carry that hard on the champion, but he always can as the stun's on the sword. Wilson here to relieve some of this pressure, but it's a defensive play, which we were not expecting to see early.
Sword and Wakao. They've got a buddy up here. They've got to kind of dictate this early game just a little bit, especially with Wilson having that Ignite available. It gives them a lot of kill pressure around some of these objectives, allows them to kind of play more aggressively towards these grubs, potentially this dragon if they want to look for the trade here. But Shogo not going on the poke Varus, mind you. He's on that on-hit Varus that we see a lot, which, I mean, for a player like him, it just fits into his playstyle so much more, right?
It really does. It is a little bit tough to play in this particular game, but this is a guy who is really not afraid of challenges ever. Right? He can be dealt the most unplayable hand of all time, and yet he will still find a way to perform. It is truly impressive what this AD carry can do and how well he's performed. It's always a treat to be able to watch a guy like him go to work. Right? Dragon has been spawned on the bottom side of the map. We see Ole Miss pinging that one. We'll see if Winthrop are going to respond with the grubs on the top side. Denethor, I'm sure, would really like those grubs. As Cassante, we know him as a real immovable force in the top lane, even after nerfs.
Yeah, it looks like Ole Miss are going to try to go for the trade here, but being on top of that dragon right as it spawns might give them a window to potentially contest these grubs. I want to see only 35 move out of this bottom lane. He's playing the Bard, get towards that grubs, help Wilson out. We might see a potential gank onto the mid lane. Asyla still has his flash available 6 minutes into the game. But it looks like first move on this dragon is going to go over to Ole Miss, and they might just shift up towards this top side. Why not?
Yeah, and you saw pings going down. They knew that something was up here in this mid lane. So Sword, while he has a CS advantage, sure, that's great. Hasn't actually been able to convert that into anything yet. As the bot lane of Ole Miss has shown up here. Sword's a nice dodge, but this does mean that Asyla is able to get out there. Asyla's level 6 right now, so the Shockwave will be available as the grubs haven't started up. Stray on top of Denethor. Shockwave goes down, and it's timed perfectly. The all-out from Denethor. He's got a flash to the side, and he'll get out of the public execution. Somehow, some way able to survive, but a nice play by the mid laner of Ole Miss, and they will secure first grubs.
That's flash being removed from Denethor. Mind you, he also TP'd back very recently. There's potential dive threat if they come in. Shogo being a little greedy.
And he dodges out on multiple stuns here.
No,
and now he's
no
looking
way.
for Sword, taking him low. Wilson is here, but he's slowed up. The flash is out from Sword. He's going to have to use the magical journey to get out. Wow, well played.
Blue suede shoes coming out from Shogo. If he's level 6, Sword dies there, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
And Denethor is actually going to stay in this top side. Stray might be in a bit of trouble. Wants to play. Uh-oh. All right, should be
Okay.
fine. Whoa!
Scout of the week lands. Keel very low, and he goes down. Sword gets the kill. Now they're going to turn on to multiple targets here. The stun onto Wilson. He's just slowed up. Only 35 off to the side. Looking for a stun. Shogo positioned against the wall. He's in trouble. The barrier is on, but the untargetability is too much for him to handle, and he goes down. Wilson is burning, but he manages to survive, and Rhino is getting taken low. He's slowed, but Wilson bailed out on the play, and that means Rhino is let off the hook, but it's 2 kills for the star mid laner of Winthrop.
Yeah, especially on this Syndra. Sword could end up being a menace. And all the meanwhile, Mobility was picking up minions. I believe he got a turret plate for himself in that bottom lane as well. I mean, overall, Winthrop, after kind of getting routed on that grub play, take advantage of the overextension of Ole Miss as we flash towards the gold here. Sword's at a 1,000 gold lead over Asila right now, and Stray might just be dead.
Oh, here we go. The dogs are out. The slow is there, and it is just enough. Wilson will get his first kill of the game.
What kind of dogs they got in New Jersey? That sounds like a lawnmower.
Listen, I'm a cat person, all right? I'm not a dog person. So that's my best imitation of a dog bark, I guess.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Wilson and the rest of the Winthrop kind of punished Stray there, and that's that first roam we saw from Only 35 onto that top side. Very well played using that magical journey to get behind Stray. And I feel like that's kind of the issue. Like when there's a bard in the game, you don't really think about that until it happens to you once. You're like, okay, never mind. They can magical journey behind me. Probably not a mistake that Stray will make again. Probably Ole Miss will be on notice right now, but a really good look. And Winthrop have amassed themselves a small gold lead. It's going to be cresting up on that 1,000 gold mark. And I really like this activeness from Winthrop. Ole Miss.
Okay, Denethor doing a good job to body block the Winter's Bite. There wasn't really a way to get it on the sword to the full stun. This does mean that Stray is able to go and clean up one plate. Looks like 2 plates here. His team did get the first 3 grubs, so it's good on Stray, but we're going to need to see him make an impact, even though he's not getting a huge lead in lane. When it comes to CS and kills, the gold is still going to go his way.
He also has an XP lead because of that roam from Denethor. So it should be fine on this Mbessa. Really, or sorry, Stray should be fine on this Mbessa. Sword is the one I'm looking at, right? He's been actively juiced in this lane. 2-0-0, has the Lost Chapter available to what is components for Asila. This dragon that's going to be coming up in a minute should be Winthrop favored, all things considered. I mean, Only 35 has been a menace on the map. Right? I mean, that's what bars do. They leave you a couple teapots and they say, you know what, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to go get some milk. I'll be back. And Mobility just kind of says, fend for himself in this bomb.
And sometimes they never come back with the milk. Okay, Akup is there. Good shielding there. Turret shot going to go down. Denethor not too worried about that, but just doing what he can to keep Stray away. Force this Ambessa to have some downtime. Aim is certainly slowed up a little bit, Chibi, but this dragon is up in about 30 seconds. We're going to see second set of grubs come up very soon as well. This is where I'm expecting to see a lot of the action. Wilson is quite powerful at this stage of the game. The Hound's Pursuit is back up to single out a target.
Hound's Pursuit is up. Ignite is up as well. Like, they can just kind of see hero, kill hero. If Sword lands a good Scout of the Week, they're going to try to make a play.
Oh, his flash is on cooldown. The Scout of the Week is there, but they get on top of him and shut him down just before the objectives.
Dragon is up in 5 seconds. Keela's opted in to take over Sword's body. And like you said, Flash, that was a really good timing from them. That Flash just came up. But do they have the ability to take this? Sword's up in 5 seconds. Denethor and Wilson are roaming down. TP's available. I don't know if Ole Miss have this.
No, they don't. They started up, but they're not able to secure it as Winthrop got there mighty quick. The grubs will go their way, and even 3-3 split. We see pings going down on the dragon. Sword is TP to the top side of the map right now. Has the inside track on Asila. So it looks like Ole Miss will take their second Drake, where Winthrop will take their first set of grubs. Maybe see something happen on the top side as Asila gets chunked out. Wilson is here. Denethor is here. This is going to be bad news. Here's the Hound's Pursuit. Nothing can save you now, Asila, as Sword will be able to walk out alive.
Yeah, bit of a misplay. They sent Sword, or they sent Asila to that top side, just kind of match Sword in there. They burned the TP, right? They Ole Miss kind of in a net benefit play up until that point, and nobody was actually there to cover Asila. Once the grubs go down, if you're up there with no Orianna ultimate, Flash isn't going to really help you. You needed somebody like Rhino to go up there. I don't think you needed him near that mid lane or that dragon. That way they can cover. They can block the unleashed power coming out. They can block some of this damage that's coming out potentially from Wilson. But instead, they send Asila up top in no man's land. They say, hey, clear the wave and do what you can. A sword.
Yeah, sword, dude, he's going to run into a problem. The Shogo's going to come up here soon. Maybe they'll... No, I thought maybe they would fish around for an arrow, but there's better things to do with your time. As the Bard ult goes a little wide here. Not quite landing onto Stray, but overall, still a small lead for Winthrop that they're nursing here. No objectives up for the next little bit, so expecting to see some farm time happen. I'd like to see Sword and Wilson set up another pick, though. That duo, 4, 1, and 3 combined right now, very powerful.
Full kill participation for Wilson right now. We saw what he was able to do on the Neferi in NACL, mirroring that performance right now, and it's going to be a menace to deal with. No mobility really on Shogo or Asila as well.
Face checking, knocked up, and he's going to go untargetable and dodge out of Keel's ultimate. Now Keel could be on the wrong side of the tracks.
He's coming in.
Coming in. Stray's joined the party. And here comes Asila as well. Shockwave not going to quite go down yet because he's not in range, but they do find Sword. And now it's a 5v4 right now because Rhino is a little too low. Denethor in the middle of everybody. Here's the bullet time, spreading him out, doing a lot of damage. Asila taken quite low. He's off to the side. He's getting slowed up. He's forced to flash away. Low health bars on the side of Ole Miss here as Keel is taking a lot of damage from this Grom. Does manage to stun it up. Let's see, is there anything more that can be done here?
Oh, he gets taken!
Denethor chunked here. As Asila trying to do what he can to keep him away. Wilson tagged low. Just trying to get people over the wall. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, mobility shoving down mid.
I like that. Just delaying these backs further, trying to get something out of this play. And Wilson says, you know what? This red buff's mine. Yeah, I mean, they can't contest it, right? I mean, you've got bigger health bars on the side of Winthrop. Even though Sword goes down, because of all that poking and prodding, that bullet time that came in, Ole Miss aren't really in a state to defend this red here. And now we might see another fight. Guys, none of you have really healed. Ole Miss might just give over a couple kills.
Shogo's looking pretty good, though. Mobility's on his way, but he's low on mana. Denethor is low, and the turret will fall. It's first turret going over to Ole Miss. And it looks like Winthrop are ready to call the play off. And meanwhile, in the bot lane, Sword is getting his own.
Only 35 does have that Bard ultimate available. Magical Journey goes down.
Stopping the recall is so big here. Stray
look at Sword on the bottom side.
On the side, though. This is a 4v3 that Denethor is not really going to be able to join in if a fight gets started here. Shogo's ultimate is up really soon. Teleport's coming in as Denethor wants to get back in. Everybody's canceling these recalls, so now he's healthy. Turret goes down. Denethor just walking up, finds Keel, tags him up a little bit. Stray still hiding from behind. They have no idea that he's here. Asila is also here, and he has his shockwave up. Oh, man, this is so crazy. Just
my blood pressure's going.
Here. Everybody's blood pressure's going through the roof as Rhino. The dogs are after him. Meanwhile, Asila teleports to the mid lane, and now it's Sword teleporting to the top lane. Wait, here's the house pursuit. The knockup is there, and Wilson can't finish out the kill, but Stray misses the public execution, and it looks like the turret will go to the side of Winthrop. So after all of that, it's a 2-for-1 turret advantage for them. My goodness. A chess match.
I mean, just a lot of... You call it a chess match. It looked like two frat guys shoving each other, bumping chests, and nothing really happening, right?
Hold me back. Hold me back. Hold me back.
I'll call my dad. He's a lawyer, right? That's what was happening right now.
My father will hear about this.
All that, and realistically, Winthrop pick up the tier 1 in the top side. They also picked up that tier 1 in the bottom lane. Sword did a really good job pushing that lane in, forcing Ole Miss, and I like that corralling from Winthrop. Despite Ole Miss's best efforts, it feels like Winthrop has been a step ahead of the curve right now, and that has gotten them a small 1,000 gold lead. This is the closest. This is the closest game we've had at this point, right? We've had stomp for stomp for stomp. At 16 minutes in, either Winthrop or Ole Miss were up like 4,000 to 7,000 gold.
And this is what you see when teams are fighting for their lives. As Ole Miss looking to take control of the river. Dragon Soul point for them is up if they are able to take it. Winthrop know that they cannot let this one go. Asila does not have teleport, so if he recalls here, this is an admission of them giving it up if Winthrop are able to notice that he is gone. They want to make a play on a Rhino and Shogo, unable to do so. You see Keel up on the top side. He's been spotted on that Rift Herald. The question is, what are Winthrop going to do? They might just go all out for the turret here. It looks like they're going to shift up and go to take this Rift Herald action.
Ocean Dragon is available. I feel like if Ole Miss go on to Ocean Soul Point, it could be an avenue for a win here, but they've got to shove these lanes out. I think the fact that Kiel is still on that top side just does not allow for this trade. They really want to fight for this Rift Herald. Just take Soul Point. It's 17 minutes in. You potentially get a 22 minutes Ocean Soul.
A big miscalculation here from Ole Miss as the Herald goes down, and you can use it to take out the mid turret too. That'll give you push in the mid lane. We see Stray,
now you have to respond to this.
Shoving. Yeah. Let's see, you're going to use it first here. There's no minion waves, but this does mean that Ole Miss is going to lose all control of the river. Doing a good job to poke out Wilson here. This turret is going to be taken very low. Not sure if it's going to go down right away. You want to get a couple of auto attacks on that soon. Scan of the Week doesn't land. The turret still stands. That is really big for Ole Miss right now.
Look at Stray.
Even though they lost some control. Stray coming in, as you said, from the backside. He's going to be
spotted
spotted out. They know where he's at. Prowl going to get tagged. Let's see what Stray is able to do. His public executions have not been great this game, but they've done well to burn some summoners. Now Stray is going to hide in the Dragon Pit.
Oh, man.
Winthrop is beginning to get corralled in. The question is, what are you going to go for here if you're Winthrop? The Dragon has yet to be started up as the teams are dancing around. Now it's finally been started up by Ole Miss. Silo looking to link up with the rest of his team, but he's split off for right now. He does have that shockwave available with the flash. Denethor worming his way in right now. He's down to 3,000 HP. The knockups are there. Silo wants to get in there. The shockwave lands onto Wilson, but he goes untargetable, and the ultimate doesn't land. Stray's in trouble. People are stunned. Bullet time's coming through. Health bars are getting low. Down goes Stray. Down goes Rhino on the backside. Wilson will not survive, but Shogo is low. He gets scattered, and he is weak. But Kiel has stolen the dog body, but he cannot close out on Sword. It's a win for Winthrop.
Winthrop biding their time, back and forth, back and forth. The Dragon doesn't go down, but they take the fight win. A 2-for-4 overall, and Ole Miss massively misplay that fight. Asila lands a one-man shockwave, and Wilson goes untargetable, is able to live just a little bit longer. You thought there might have been a glimmer of hope for Kiel as he was resetting across the map, but he's not able to do it. He's not able to get it done. Very well played from Winthrop here. But Yanni, we're not done, buddy. I didn't hear no bell. Round two's coming for this Ocean Dragon.
Yeah, the worst part for Winthrop is, sure, you won the fight, but the gold lead hasn't changed. You still haven't taken that mid turret. You still haven't broken the dragon stacking, right? Now you have to take a look at what kind of tools you're lacking. Only 35's ultimate's going to be up soon, but bullet time is down. The unleashed power is down. All of the pack is down right now. The Hound's Pursuit. Like, Sword is up on the top side right now. He does have teleport available. But the question is, can you actually stop Ole Miss from doing what they're doing right now? Shogo is going to be called out with the ultimate. The question is he going to be saved? The ball is on Rhino right now. Scout of the Week is there. It lands. They find Shogo and take him out. But can you stop the Dragon? Dragon is at 5,000 HP. Nobody is on it. Kiel and Stray have to walk away. This is huge for Winthrop as they will be able to break the Dragon stack now.
That Bard ultimate, oh so valuable, only 35. You talked about the tools that were lacking. Shogo got caught in the wrong street. He was lacking the toolie. Only 35, dropped the Bard ultimate onto and absolutely obliterated Ole Miss.
And the mid turret goes down too. Winthrop will have some serious control of this game. They've opened up the gold lead to just about 2,000 Shibi as we're just getting to the 21-minute mark. Remember, Otacon is up on the top side. Don't think any of these teams are too privy to a fight at this point in time. But Winthrop can now breathe with their control of the game. Wait a minute, Sword.
Oh, they're going.
Scout of the Week lands. They do get the stun. The public execution not going to land. He's just got to dodge one more skill shot, but he gets stunned, shockwave, and taken down. A big shutdown going over to Asila. Now the question is, will you start the Otacon? We're seeing Stray backing here. You will cancel it, so the Otacon will be started up. The question is, what are you going to do if you're Winthrop? Teleport coming in, and there is a two-man Bartle, but the problem is you can't follow up on it. There's the ultimate, that bullet time, but the knockup is there to interrupt, and look who's on the back line.
He's gonna get ulted.
It's Denethor, but he got stunned, rooted, and taken down. He could not wade through the CC, and now it's a 5v3. This has allowed Sword a little bit of time, though. 10 seconds till he's up, but he has no teleport. The question is, will Winthrop continue to try to fight, continue to try to stop this? Wilson is ready to go in. That Hound's Pursuit is not available, though, and Otacon will fall, and all of the roses will go to Ole Miss.
What a look from Ole Miss. Catching Sword on that top side for the extra wave mobility. Understands, hey, the play's done. I can't do anything about it. They knock down that tier 1, and he's going to go try to knock down that tier 2. The TP does get burned. I believe that is Stray here, but shouldn't be in too much danger. And that tier 2 turn in the mid lane, a sliver of health right now. And all things considered, only 35 has had some solid tempered fates, right?
Yes.
Has been hitting Shogo very consistently. And with the flash still down, tempered fate coming back up, not many objectives to fight over. Dragons coming up in about 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Winthrop has stopped that. Gold lead still in their favor, but damn, this game has been so close. Game 4, not 1,000 gold has separated these two.
They found Shogo again! They found him again, but the question is, can anybody get on top of him? Yeah, no! Scout of the Week didn't land, but it doesn't matter. They do get to him. Sword gets the kill, and Wilson is looking for more. They have to blast plant away, and with this turret so low, this should allow Winthrop to knock this one down too, and take over the jungle of Ole Miss.
Shogo.
Wait, the Scout of the Week lands. The shield,
Rhino!
It's not enough. Rhino hops away, only to burn and fall. Another Winthrop kill.
Look at the bottom lane, though. They're overloading with Keel and a Stray. Denethor, I don't think he can stop this, but he can try to do something about it. Big chunk of gold going into the favor of their top-end jungle for Ole Miss here. And again, the gold lead, 1,000 separates both of these teams. Winthrop seems like they've had pretty solid control over the game, right? Around the dragon, they won that team fight. They did have a misplay in the top side. Sword went down, and then another member went down. It allowed Ole Miss to kind of recoup and take that Otacon. But honestly, this game can go either way here. Shogo finally has his flash available. If I know only 35, he's going to let that thing rip on him, though.
Only 35 has been playing so well this game. Him and Sword, the big engine that has kept this Winthrop train rolling here in Game 4. Baron going to be up in just about a minute, but again, the gold is not that different. It's just about 15, 14, 1,300, thereabouts, depending on the waves. Not really a whole lot to speak of. Asila does have his flash available. Oriana's can make some big flash shockwave plays. Let's see if we see one there. Scout of the Week not going to land. Rhino getting taken low just a little bit, but a big stun is out, and there's the Tempered Fate. Who are they going to go on? Keel's going to be the target, but Keel will be able to dash out. Rhino taking to about half HP, so you don't get anything big out of that ultimate. 45 seconds until this next dragon starts. The shockwave lands, takes Sword down very, very low. Sword's teleport is available though, but he's going to have to back up for now, and Winthrop will cede control of the river.
Only temporarily, like you said. Tempered Fate used. That's a big cooldown coming out from Oriana there. And as long as Sword is able to back and TP in, surely Winthrop can just wrestle control of this river. Big ultimates available. Flash summoners on Shogo and Mobility. Both of these guys, focal points for this team. Mobility having a much better game right now.
Sword
Mid lane.
TP
back in.
Asila does not get tagged, but remember, Rhino is down to about half HP. His shield's going to be back up to really protect himself against a lot, but he is not very healthy right now as they're trying to get Denethor down the same. The dragon is up right now.
Cutting the waves.
Yep. The question is, what's going to happen? Rhino getting tagged, Scout of the Week, but he's fine. The dragon is going to get started up by Shogo. This time he's on it, which means it's going to burn down faster. 5,000 HP, 4,000 HP. Got to make a move with drop. Only 35 wants to get in here. That Temper Fate's not up, and the dragon is stolen away at his soul point. Here's the public execution right on top of Wilson. Here's the bullet time over the top as Asila falls, but Stray's on the back line, wreaking havoc. Keel on top of Mobility. Who's going to win the fight? Mobility flashes away, and Stray goes down. The root is there. Keel on top of Mobility, but he gets away. He gets away, and Keel dies on the backside. Denethor flexing his muscles. He gets two and dies to Shogo.
Shogo, the last man standing for Ole Miss. The dragon goes in your favor, but how much can Winthrop take after the dominant team fight win? They go 2 for 4 once again. It looks like we're just going to chill out. We're going to take as much of the jungle as we can. We're going to get our lanes shoved in so they can get first move onto this Baron. 26 minutes into the game, and Yanni, finally, Winthrop have broken open a gold lead that's larger than 1,000. They're 3,000 gold ahead right now. And you can see just how hectic these fights are. If Keel picks up a kill, if he's able to reset, it goes so differently for Ole Miss. But Winthrop have been doing a damn good job at stemming the bleeding and just taking their fights one by one by one. Stray even picked up a really good kill, but Denethor absolutely just jumps onto Shogo, jumps onto Rhino, and has to be dealt with.
The bad news for Winthrop is that Soul Point was secured by Ole Miss. If this game goes any longer and they're able to pick up that Ocean Soul, it could be problematic. Wilson does have Heal Cut in his inventory, but I believe he's the only one right now. So there's something to watch out for. Yes, he is the only one right now. Something to be aware of because of the way these fights have gone and how elongated they have been. It may allow Ole Miss to outlast Winthrop, so Winthrop need to use this window of being up nearly 3,000 gold effectively and need to really put this one out of reach soon.
Taking stock of the summoner spells available, Shogo has flash, mobility, nothing available for himself. Sword has flash as well, and Denethor. So there's a lot of good opportunities for Denethor and Sword to jump onto some of these carries. Asyla, nothing available for himself. Stray as well, Keel down a flash. Like, realistically, Winthrop have the ability to make some really good plays. We haven't really seen Denethor carry anybody over a wall just yet with that all out, but he's been doing his job and has been doing really good work creating that space for the Winthrop carries to thrive. And right now, Sword having a legendary game, 7-3-6 on this Syndra. We talked about how effective he would be at taking that away from Asyla. Mobility as well, 3-0-7. These Misfortune ultimates have been on point. The moment Ole Miss have committed to some of these fights, the bullet time comes down and their life bars shred so quickly. Winthrop are looking to take this to a game 5. Yanni, we're at a bit of a standstill. This Baron up and in contention for Winthrop. 2 minutes until this Dragon. Surely we see a fight very, very soon as Ole Miss are wrestling back control of their jungle.
Been really impressed with everybody on the side of Winthrop this game. Meanwhile, Stray over on Ole Miss just needs to pick it up a little bit more. He's been having some good fights. That last one was a good start. But he misses the public execution here. Once again, missing a key ultimate. And now Shogo is going to be flashless for the next fight. And Rhino might be stuck. He's going to be able to hop away to Shogo. But this is really bad for Ole Miss.
That Tempered Fate is going to be up before that Dragon. And Shogo's not going to have flash. And only 35 has at a 100% hit rate when targeting Shogo here. They've got to figure this out. You talked about how hard it is for Shogo to play this on-hit Varus, and I agree with you. Sword is able to reach him from a million miles away. Mobility is able to reach him from a million miles away. And if Wilson and Denethor are on top of you, there's just so much damage coming in that you're not even allowed to get into full force with this Varus, right? The stacking, the Ginsos, the everything that is allowed with this Varus on-hit, you just can't get that damage done.
Yeah, there's too many people that Rhino actually needs to protect in these fights. If Shogo was his only assignment, I'd say, yeah, this is fine, right? Because you can tag somebody with a Braum passive and stun them up with your increased attack speed as the attack speed Varus, but there's too much that Rhino has to do. He has to front line to fish around for, Winter's Bite picks, then he's got to disengage using his ultimate. He can't always get back to Shogo in this game.
Yeah, and even when he's blocking a lot of those bullet times, he's still taking a ton of damage. Like, Rhino's not the tankiest guy in the world. He's got Locket and a Chain Vest, and that's really about it. And now we're going to see a fight.
Heal! Stun is there. Rhino trying to protect him. He's down below half HP. He's going to flash away. Heal still low. Has to use his ultimate, and he escapes the bullet time. There's no ultimate from the Bard. He cleanses himself on the side, but he's dealing with Shogo and going down. Meanwhile, on the other side, Rhino will fall.
Stray!
Only 35 still alive for now, but Stray's on the backside all alone. He's going to flash on only 35, but he gets stunned. He can't take him down. And Winthrop puts him in jail, locks him up, and they're going to take the Dragon for themselves.
A cuffed down Stray. Rhino's down as well. I don't even think you can go for this Baron. This is going to be a free Winthrop Dragon, and they've gotten themselves to 2 Ocean Dragons here. The damage is just not there. Stray goes in by himself, but he doesn't have tier 2 boost. He doesn't have tenacity. He's got nothing right now.
Oh no, he's dead. Shogo goes down. Wilson gets the kill. Winthrop will take their Baron. Shibby, I smell it in the air. You know what I'm smelling in the air. Not to jinx this game, but Winthrop looking mighty fine.
Finally, like we said, got that foothold in the game. Really well played from only 35 here. This Bard has been instrumental in stopping Ole Miss's biggest carry here. You see, he's just not allowed to play the game, whether it's Tempered Fates, whether it's his normal stun that he's able to land there that allows them to pick up this Baron. Now Winthrop can start pushing into the base. Now they can start taking down these tier 3 turrets. Ole Miss have a hell of a mountain to climb, and I don't think Winthrop's going to allow them to do that. The Dragon is taken down, like we said. It's 4 minutes until that. Otacon might have gone over in the favor of Ole Miss, but it's not enough. Now we're going to see this Baron-empowered push coming in from Winthrop, and it's just how much gold can they eliminate off the map and give to themselves here, right? Mobility on 4 items. Sword picked up the death cap prior to that fight, is on 3 items. That's a fully stacked Dorons, right? Probably wants to turn that to a Medjai's very soon. There are a lot of huge power spikes coming in for Winthrop that Ole Miss simply cannot match.
Yeah, they're just too strong, right? Mobility, as you said, 4 items, and Sword and only 35 have played a really phenomenal game. It has been nigh impossible for Ole Miss to answer these guys.
Oh man.
See what's going to happen to Shogo here. He's going to be shredded by the bullet time, protected by Rhino, but the health bars are so low right now. This is going to allow a window for Winthrop to get into the base. They will knock down the bottom inhibitor turret and the bottom inhibitor as well. Good use of the ultimates to create this pressure. Stray is just inside his team's own jungle right now as the base is going down. The middle inhibitor is exposed, but a couple big ultimates down, and Ole Miss are healthy now. This is going to be an opportunity, maybe, for Ole Miss to do something. On top of Denethor, he's going to go unstoppable. Shockwave going to go down, not land on anybody. But here it goes. Stray onto the back line. The stuns are there, and they manage to find Denethor. The question is, can you find more? Only 35 get a magical journey in one.
Whoa.
They scatter the weak to stem the attack of the Land Sharks.
Oh, and the ultimate goes wide as well for Achilles, not able to chase anymore. And for that bottom lane inhibitor turret, they just pick up 1 kill for themselves. Ole Miss thought they were able to have it, thought they could chase a little bit more, but like you said, Sword, it's a massive stun, stemming Ole Miss right into their tracks. And Super's fishing in that bottom lane, 2 minutes until this Dragon. Baron's coming up at about 3.5 minutes, so there is some time for Ole Miss to recuperate some gold, to hit some of these item power spikes. But like we said, Winthrop have ballooned this gold lead pretty much up to 5,000, we'll call it 6,000, cresting up on there. And for a majority of this game, Yanni, about 1,000, 1,500 gold separated these two teams, but Winthrop just took fight after fight. And I'm going to be honest, Ole Miss just have not been landing these ultimates. Asila has not landed the shockwave we've needed to see from him. Stray, I can't even count how many public executions he's missed, right? I mean, it's just so many at this point. They just have not been able to play these team fights very well, and Winthrop have been doing a good job executing on the Bard. The Tempered Fates have been catching out Shogo. The Scatter the Weaks from Sword, right? Denethor, yeah, he went down, but he's been doing his job as a tank, creating the space necessary for his team. Winthrop are just playing their comp to a T, and Yanni, you mentioned it. In Game 4, you said, I like Winthrop's comp a lot better than Ole Miss, and you can see that coming into fruition.
Yeah, I didn't expect Sword to have really a game like this. He has been downright dirty. He has been the biggest reason why Winthrop is in this game in the driver's seat. Oh, again, only 35 doing a lot. Not to take away from Wilson or Mobility or Denethor, right? They've all done their jobs well and have put themselves in a position to take this to Game 5. Scatter the Weak lands once again. Ole Miss trying to wrestle control away. Public execution, they've split the fight. Mobility's in trouble, the shockwave goes down. They've caught Mobility. Mobility falls, the big shutdown. And look who's caught too. Denethor's caught. There they go, they found two key members. This has opened the door for Ole Miss. The Dragon, as you said, will be available. They will have an opportunity to take the Ocean Soul, and that could be what they need to find their way back in Shibby.
That might be the difference maker.
Well, only 35.
Only 35!
He's going to magical journey away. Maybe he's just trying to buy time, but a good buffer there means that Keel is still on top of him, and Shogo gets the kill.
Wait, they're taking Dragon! Wilson's on Dragon!
Hiding. Yeah, Wilson's hiding on this Dragon right now. It hasn't quite spawned yet. It just spawned. Let's see if he ends up going for it. No, he exits the pit as they're going to lose mid-tier 1.
Okay.
Wilson's still hanging around. He was near a ward, so they're aware that he's there. He got a pink ward down there. Let's see if Wilson's going to be able to get away. He's sitting in the tri-brush. Keel is in the area. He picks it down. He spots out the dogs, and he's just going to say, hey, you can't get here. I don't need to smite this. My team can protect this and take this down for me. Ocean Soul secured for Ole Miss.
And that 4,000 gold lead, that 3,000 gold lead, short up a little bit. Ocean Soul gives you those stats that you can't see onto the scoreboard. The extra healing they come in is going to be invaluable to someone like Shogo. Going to be invaluable to players like Stray and Keel, who are in those melee-based champions, right? Who have the Sundered Sky, who have the Death Dance. I mean, they're just going to be that much harder to kill. And when these fights have been going back and forth with how narrow they've been, right? 2 for 3s, 3 for 4s, that kind of stuff. Winthrop might have made a grave error in that mid lane and might have given the game over to Ole Miss. They still have that gold lead. They're still fundamentally stronger item-wise, but they cannot make any more mistakes. We are too late in the game.
You may call it a grave error, Shibby. I call it the top lane and mid lane stepping up for Ole Miss. We just talked about how they had struggled this game. It doesn't matter how many you hit, as long as you hit the right targets, and they did it that fight. Ole Miss's solo laner sacked up big time, and now Ole Miss has control of this game.
Okay.
Double tempered faith here. See what the rest of the fight has to show. Stray's on the back
Stray's
line,
in!
but he's all alone right now. He's going to flash away, and Wilson's going to chase after him, but Denethor is trying to create that space, trying to stay alive. He gets Shockwave, but he goes down. Ends up being a 1-for-1 for right now, but Sword's left all alone. Going unstoppable is Keel, but he's stuck under the shirt. He's got to ult away. And it's a 4v4 right now, but mobility is healthy. He still has that ultimate. Sword and Wilson, remember, that reset, it just expired. He no longer has that ultimate. The top laners are down.
Top laner for top laner trade, and minions pushing up into that bottom side. Thank you, Observer. I love that.
They have to send somebody back.
Yeah, someone's got to answer this. Most likely will be Asila has the TP available. So far, 3v4. Let's see if Winthrop actually taking notice. Once they see him on that bot wave, surely they'll just walk into the top side river here, clear all this jungle vision, and they're going to start laying down the foundation for this Baron. Only 35 hours. Already picked up the pink ward, has placed it here. Denethor's up in about 5 seconds. TP available. Winthrop have taken control of the topside jungle, and Ole Miss have to walk in here blind.
All right. So who's going to get this? Denethor shows up to the fight. Stray is now up. Teleport's available. Keel might have been caught out. He's a little tanky. He's going to roll out. Big tempered fate. And Stray's on the backside. It looks like they're just going to get out. Or maybe they're waiting for him to come in. They are. And that means Denethor got stunned up. And the public execution, it's on top of mobility. They found him and take him down. Stray gets the job done again for Ole Miss. And on the other side, Denethor trying to do what he can against the mid jungle, but the rest of the team has shown up, and they do it again. Stray comes up and hits pay dirt, and it's time for Ole Miss to take the Baron.
How does he keep getting away with this, Yanni? Stray? It doesn't matter how many ults you miss, it just matters the key ones you make, and he lands it onto mobility with barrier up as well. Stray, the hero of that fight, potentially the hero of this game. Ole Miss pick up the Ocean Dragon earlier, pick up the Baron now, and that gold lead we talked about for Winthrop has slipped through their fingers, Yanni. It is gone.
What a game, Shibby. A 40-minute banger following up an 18-minute and 52-second romp. And now Winthrop need to look inside themselves. Need to figure out where it's gone wrong and straighten it up. The Elder is up in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Good thing to point out, because he does have that Jack Show. Rhino may have gone a little bit too far here, but he is just so tanky, right? And they heal up. It's really hard to kill anybody now. Here we go, double stun is here. There might be an opportunity. Let's see if they're able to get the double stun. There's the bullet time. The knockup is there, but Rhino's taking a little big shot by Asila to force them away. Keel's going deep, and they find only 35. Asila and Stray have come to play. 2 kills for Ole Miss, and it's time for them to shove with Baron.
Baron empowered push coming in. Asila hits a massive 3-man shockwave, chunks everybody out, and Keel is here ready to go. He's still full health. Surely you give up the inhibitor. Winthrop, you don't want to lose the game after having control for so long. You see it slipping through your fingers like sand.
Execution! Sword has gone golden, but all that glitters is not gold as he falls. The stun's on Wilson. Here is Ole Miss ready to take back their throne. The Nexus turrets have fallen. They were down. They were not quite out. And the Eagles get their wings clipped, and the Land Sharks feast to the finals.
Ole Miss, they take that 0-3 week in stride. They say, you know what? We needed a tune-up game, and Winthrop, you're on the menu. They take the series 3-1 after an epic back and forth in Game 4. Yanni, it's not the 5-game series that you promised, but my heart is beating. That was close to a Game 5 as we could get between these two guys.
Close. We thought for a minute that Winthrop was going to get it done. They got that Baron. They made such good plays off of it too. But Ole Miss never gave up. No way they were going to let that game get away from them. And they get the job done. A 3-1 ousting of Winthrop. Winthrop are going to have to wait for the revenge all the way on May 2nd, I believe, is when they play in the NACL. They're going to have a long time to stew on this game.
Doesn't feel good if you're Winthrop, right? It sucks because you, last week, if this game is played 1 week before, how do you think it happens? Yanni, Winthrop probably take this, right? It sucks because Winthrop are on such a good roll. Coming in last week, 2-0, right? Or just dominating the NACL matchups coming in. Ole Miss was 0-3, right? They had a catastrophic week. And like you said, Collimer locked him in a room, said, I don't know if you guys want to fight. If you guys want to yell, here's some boxing gloves. Do what you need to do. Hug it out, fight it out, thug it out. That's exactly what they did there. And Ole Miss coming with the win in the lower bracket finals. They send Winthrop packing, and they're at the mercy of the committee. And Fisher, if you're watching this game, I'm going to let you know right now, the Ole Miss you faced in that upper bracket finals, that's a different team than today. You better be on point.
I feel like that play at the bottom inhibitor where the mobility bullet time went out and took Shogo to 1 HP and took Rhino to 1 HP is really reflective of how Ole Miss's season was, right? They were at 1 HP last week, and the two guys that have been through this team without any changes whatsoever were the two guys that survived on 1 HP, were able to come back and keep them in the game. If they went down there, Shibby, that game was ending. That is how reflective that play was of Ole Miss's season. Potentially last week, could have been a team that we would have written off if they came back this week and looked the way they did last week. But now they have been reborn through the ashes, and they are looking to retake their throne against Fisher College. We will not have an opportunity for an interview, but I hope that we will next week when we get to those grand finals. And I'm sure a bunch of these players will be yapping on their streams and on Twitter. And speaking of Twitter, you're going to want to look out for some NECC tweets because we are going to have action all throughout the week next week. So you are not going to want to miss it. But that will do it for us here this afternoon. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Collegiate League of Legends. Great way to spend your Saturday afternoon. I want to thank Caddy and Hippie behind the glass. I want to thank my co-caster Shibby. I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in and watching. And we hope to see you next time for some more League of Legends action.
Raid Shogo, whoever's in charge of the channel, Raid Shogo.
Raid Shogo.